If you want your mind blown without chemical assistance, just have a drink with a theoretical physicist. Hey, I'm Chris.
If you don't know any, then you should watch A Trip to Infinity instead. Hi, I'm Grant.
That's what we watched this week, and we can't wait to talk about it. Hi, I'm Mo.
What is infinity? Is life meaningless if we're all going to disappear eventually? And how can we improve science education and communication? Hi, I'm Katie.
Welcome to The Disorg, a podcast where we unpack big ideas from documentaries and the tangents they lead us down.
If you make it to the green room, let us know. And check out the description to know what we're watching next.
How's everybody doing?
Good.
Good.
How are you doing?
Feeling any kind of existential dread after watching the documentary?
Honestly, the opposite.
Yeah,
Which
honestly
is
saying.
kind of wild and not what I expected. I will say, I love this documentary. I think, should I wait till you do your...
I was going to say, let me give the quick little...
Okay.
Give
Do
the
the
little
spiel.
rundown really quickly.
Do the spiel.
So we watched A Trip to Infinity, which is available on Netflix. It's a 2022 documentary that just kind of explores...
And quick pause. If you're locked out of your parents' Netflix because you don't live in their home, try casting
Getting
it
a
from
job?
your phone.
Try getting a job and buying your own subscription.
These two little capitalist weirdos, I got to point this way.
I said
No.
steal.
Yeah, but you can whatever. My hack was that you can try to cast it from your phone to your TV. A lot of times it works for a period of time.
Yeah, if you have it
So-
on a device where, you know, if you're not locked out and you can still access it, yeah, just cast it. You know,
If
there
you're
are
locked
ways.
out on your TV, you can do it on your phone. Anyway,
We have
Chris,
the technology.
continue.
Yeah. Whenever there's a mention of capitalism, I just have an idea. What if we...
Fart. Oh,
That's a long one.
Wow, it's still going, just like
who's to
capitalism.
say he's
Did
not
you
doing
record
it?
that?
I did record that, yeah. Now, the big question, was it natural?
I think that was your mouth. I think you did that with your mouth.
It was my mouth and my arm. I did wet my arm beforehand just to give it a little bit more of that, you know,
Everyone, this is
that
my
fart
boyfriend.
grit. As I said previously, I've never given her the ick since we've
Ever.
been dating. Ever.
Yeah,
Even
never,
before
ever.
we've been dating. Anyway, so we watched A Trip to Infinity. It is a 2022 Netflix documentary about infinity. It explores the concept of it. Does it exist in our universe? Is our universe infinite? What is it exactly? First, it begins with mathematicians talking about it conceptually in terms of math and arithmetic and the kind of paradoxes that you can find yourself in as you use it in calculus or math in general. And then we start to shift from this kind of like on paper theory into the actual world. They say, does it actually exist in the real world? And that's where the physicists and the cosmologists and the philosophers start to come in and have their segment. And so we go from this like theory on paper into what we can observe and what we have found into then even beyond that, you know, what can we theorize in terms of physics and the cosmos? It's a great documentary, great visuals. And if you're a visual learner, this has a lot of great storytelling and animations. Yeah, it's a great documentary. I love it personally, but I want to hear your thoughts.
I loved it. I thought
I
it was
have
beautiful.
mixed feelings.
I knew you
Also-
would.
I was going to ask
Yeah.
Grant. I felt like it was a feast for someone who does visual effects. I love
It
that
is.
part
It
probably the
absolutely
most.
is. My mixed feelings, I didn't dislike it. Not at all. However, I have mixed feelings because, well, first of all, this was clearly a portfolio piece for whoever worked on the visuals because they did an amazing job.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
However, over the course of all of this, which is all very interesting, good information, I kept thinking, why? Why am I learning about this? Like, it is cool. It is very interesting, and there's lots of interesting paradoxes and concepts that are behind this, and it's, like, super cool. Like, not going to downplay that. However, I am also feeling like, okay, but, like, what is the overarching story that we're telling here? Like, we are saying that infinity is interesting and big and weird, but like what, like, but like why, you know? And like there was some attempts to say why, of like, well, it could be we're trying to explain the universe with infinity, which is cool. But I didn't have a whole lot of personal stake in what was being talked about, if that makes sense. Like they didn't hook me in personally. It was more about kind of like the last documentary about editing, except that one was not as good as this one. This felt like a lecture, a way like a Verge video, if you know what I mean. Like the Verge does a really great job of having really interesting content, but it's not like, I don't know, it didn't feel like a documentary per se. It was
It's more informative.
Yeah. So I think that's kind of where I'm at. Is visually is fantastic. The people that were talking were incredibly smart. I'm sure a lot of it went over my head. But just like the storytelling itself, I wasn't quite sure the why of it. But that's kind of my thought.
And they had fucking chapters.
Yeah, I was gonna say
Chapters!
right after we talk about like chapters as a form.
I think we need
inside
a
of-
sound button for chapters.
That's the shorter one. I recorded
Yes.
a total of
good.
4.
Oh wow.
Total of 4. So this is
I
number 1.
will say,
This is number 1.
okay.
This is number 2.
I feel like
This is number 3.
Nice. Oh, that's good.
Yeah, that's pretty good. I won't do the fourth
good.
one because
Sweet.
it's very long and it's reserved for the word that shall not be said unless you want to hear that fart.
fapitalism.
Oh my god.
Close enough.
That's
That's
Wow.
worse. That's worse.
that's a wow. Okay.
So what?
I don't know. I just never thought of putting those two words together. Katie, you're aware of what fapping is, right?
Yes.
And you put it. Okay.
This is not what I thought this conversation was going to be like.
That's so funny.
Come mention.
My favorite.
Come- exactly. Wait, hold on.
Come!
hold on.
Hey, there we go.
So that's the come button.
That's the celebration button. You know, for anything that I hear that I'm like,
No, that's the come button. That's like the only time we've used that.
Anyway, what were you going to say, Mo?
Oh, right. Yeah. I was going to say that I agree with the idea that there was no like deeper story. I didn't necessarily feel this at an emotional level. And yeah, the chapters were a dead giveaway that they didn't feel like they had a coherent story to tell without having to rely on that crutch. And yeah, I felt this more in my brain and like I felt some awe as well. And maybe a little bit in my soul, but definitely less so in my heart. Yeah.
I agree, especially like on the chapters topic. Like, I think it definitely did it better than the editing one because I think they all led into each other a lot better than previous documentaries we've seen.
Yeah.
However, it still felt like, okay, that was that part. Now we're moving on to the next part. Yeah,
Like
It was a
if
lot
you
more
remember-
cohesive.
Yeah.
definitely.
If I think about the Jiro documentary or the God of War documentary, you could tell that there were different sections, but they just didn't have to spell it out for you. Like,
Right.
I remember the God of War, there was like pre-production, there was E3, and then there was like making an actual video game, wrapping it up, going gold. But like, they never told me that. I can like infer that stuff. Maybe chapters
Yeah.
make me feel dumb, and that's what I don't like.
Well, I think the difference here is that, especially with the last two, is that we're seeing documentary filmmakers ask a lot of questions of these people that they're interviewing and then trying to find the form of it without having a storyline, because it's not story based in
Fair.
the
Right.
way that like God of War is.
Yeah.
And I think there's a way to do it really well, and I think there's a way to not do it well. I think this was obviously done much better than last week.
Yep.
Agreed.
But when I think about not having the chapters, it does feel like, like how do we go from topic to topic in like a cohesive,
point,
like
yeah.
elegant way, you know? But I still don't like chapters. Yes, Chris.
No, I just want to like, but you've all brought up really good points, and I agree with you. And at the same time, I have two thoughts. The first one about the chapters is, I think you're 100% correct that they sat down, they recorded all of this content, and they're like, okay, now how do we piece it together? And that might be like, we might be overreaching because it's very, there's a very real possibility. Because I mean, these are professional people; they know what they're doing.
Oh
right?
yeah, and
like,
it's
they probably had
so
something in
beautifully
mind.
done.
Yeah, but I was able to find for myself that arc without being able to remember all of the chapters, which was you start with, well, how is infinity defined, right? Mathematically, in terms, like in actual terms, what is infinity? And then you start to leave the paper and we start to go into physics and the cosmos a little bit more and talking about like, well, what is it in the real world, and how have we observed it, quote unquote, in the real world with the observable universe and with stars and black holes and all of these things, right? Does an infinity exist there? And then it does kind of, I think the weakest part is towards the end when it tries to tie it back to like being human, right? Because as you've all said, this was something more for our brains than it was for like our hearts. And it's why for me personally, like trying to come up with a tangent for this one was like really hard because it
Really
didn't
hard.
just like ignite something in me to go like, oh, I want to like, that makes me think about whatever. All I could think about was the documentary in probably a good way. And that leads me to my second point, which is, does there have to be a story? This is one of those things where it's an informational documentary. You know, plenty of documentaries have an agenda to like push forth a message or to tell a story or to whatever. Whereas this one is like, let's explore. Let's just like let's go down the rabbit hole. Like, what is this? Let's talk about it. And I feel like for me personally, if they had kept that into the very end and just been like, you know, it could have been like a science show in that way where it's like, we don't truly know, but isn't that like what being human is all about, right? You could have just been like, nice little button at the end there. And I think that trying to like make it this whole thing, and there were still very beautiful moments as they did relate it to the human existence and, you know, all of the things that we think about. But, you know, it lacked in that for me because I'm like, well, now you're trying to have a why. Now you're trying to have a, this is
Late in the game.
Exactly. When you didn't really have that from the start. I still love the documentary because, and it's part of my tangent, I just love to think about these things. I love theory and theoretical things, but I can totally understand, you know, the chapters, not really necessary.
Yeah.
I found an arc without chapters. It was clear to me. And the why, I don't think you really need a why every single time. You know, I was engaged without a why.
Yeah, totally. I think, on those 2 points, I think chapters can be tired. I think I was a little strong last week with how I was like, don't do it. However, because it's been used as a crutch for so long, it can be tired. But I think this documentary showed, oh no, there is some value in chapters, especially when it's something as heady as this. Like there's so much. It's an easier way to break it up. So I think they can be good. They can be. It can be a tool if it's used that way. But I think, so people, you guys and the viewers know my bias when it comes to film in general, and I'm including documentaries in film because that's what they are. I have this thing when I watch a film. I have something called, or movies will have something I call "what was the point-itis." So if I finish a movie going, I don't feel like I gained anything from that. Like, I don't know why we went through all of that. Why do I care that we went through all that for us to end up here? Why do I care about that? That is my bias. That's what I value in a story. So not to say that this is bad in any way. It just did not appeal to me in that way. That's usually how stories get me. So that's just my opinion on how stuff works. Like, anyone can enjoy things for any reason. So that's my biggest reason for that is I'm a huge why person. So when I watch something, that's generally what I look for.
I remember you saying for The Mark of the Bell Witch, like, there was no angle. And I think that's similar to what Chris mentioned as well, as like why we don't have tangents. And like, I don't think I've watched enough documentaries to have formed an opinion on whether or not that's necessary to have a good documentary. Like, maybe my experience has been like largely biased by the first few documentaries that we watched and loved that I'm now comparing everything else to them. I'm sure after I watch 10 more, I will have changed my mind about chapters and changed my mind about like having an overarching narrative and tangents and stuff like that. I'll probably I think I'm still refining my taste in documentaries as we go. So the viewers will have to deal with me flip-flopping around.
Well, I think that's okay. I think, and there's also been a lot of stuff in this show that like we need almost a thing across the screen that says proven false. Like we've said stuff like me saying Star Wars is based off a book last week. Yeah, literally. The thing with SpongeBob.
Sound effect.
I almost feel like maybe where I'm at right now.
Mo said
That's
sound
just
effect.
crude. No, I'm kidding.
Mo said.
What?
It was called for.
It was literally called.
Oh, yes. I almost feel like where I'm at personally is like if you don't have if you're not following a story, like there isn't sort of a storyline to follow, like, because I think of like true crime, like something like that where there's like something very clear, like beginning, middle, and end. Maybe you kind of go back in history, but you still have like a story that you're following. You don't really need chapters. Or we say something like Three Identical Strangers, it is kind of out of order a little bit, but like we have sort of touch points that we go back to, like mental health became a huge touch point, or like this whole study that they did became a huge touch point, and that was where we were kind of anchored in. But I think if you don't have like a storyline, which like this wasn't going to have a storyline unless we were going to be following like a few scientists trying to study infinity, and this is what they found, and here is where they came to. So I almost am like, okay, does chapters serve that sort of structuring material that we have with stories? Is that what sort of kind of like holds it together as a unit? And if it is, when does it work and when does it not? Because I think for me, what would annoy me with these chapters would be like, chapter something, infinity is fast. And I was like, I don't know. Like, I know we're talking about speed. Like, that part was really interesting when we started talking about, like, the speed of light. And Chris kind of had to pause it and explain it to me more, because I will admit, like, this documentary is not in my wheelhouse. I really enjoyed it, but I'm not like a science brain in the way that Chris is. So when Chris would kind of like talk and kind of clarify things for me, it became much more engaging because it's something he's passionate about. But I don't know, maybe that's what we'll discover as we watch more and more and analyze them together, is like, what are the sort of structural elements that can sort of divide story-based documentary storytelling or documentary making and like non-story based, and more like maybe it's kind of like what we were talking about last week, maybe it is sort of intellectual, like teaching documentary. I don't know. I would love for us to watch something about like animals and see if we can kind of piece it out and see what like nature documentaries, what they use as kind of like a story holding device, if that makes sense. Like maybe it's chapters, but maybe because animals, like you can follow a story of like one animal or like a species, right? Or you can sort of like see animals at a glance and kind of observe them. I don't know, I think it'd be interesting.
On the like lecture side of things, I think it was different from that for me, because I didn't have any concrete takeaways. I can't tell you like, oh, I learned this specific thing that was interesting to me that I'm going to take away from this. It felt more like an experience rather than having any like concrete lessons. It was just like a nice trip. And any of the lessons that I can tell someone else, I don't think it would be interesting to them without having watched it. Like, I feel like the magic was in the context and like feeling and seeing all of the visuals, which were absolutely beautiful. And that's what separated it from something like animals or other science documentaries, is that they can't capture most of the concepts that they were exploring in this documentary. And that's why they actually needed the like top-notch visual art, motion art, animation. Like, this was definitely like a visual feast for me. And I think it's because of the abstractness of the concepts they explored. And I think it was super ambitious of them So big shout out to them for like even trying to make a documentary about the concept of infinity, which is not something you can usually show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I want to see the
It is
timelines of the motion
theoretical.
graphics artists.
Oh
they
my-
were
Oh my god.
incredible.
Yeah.
Incredible work.
See, I
Yeah,
it's
and you
interesting.
know, oh, Chris, go ahead.
Yeah, no, it's because I definitely come from a standpoint of being an armchair scientist. Like just like being interested in these kinds of scientifical. Oh my god, like theoretical scientific topics.
Scientifical.
Scientifical. But I don't know what I'm not a mathematician, but I left that documentary myself, definitely having a little bit more knowledge about well, why do mathematicians care, but also about what exactly is infinite. And I think one of the fun parts for me about watching the documentary was seeing it visualized, well, here's how we actually define it. If you can make a one-to-one set, right, that's an infinity, right? And that goes on and on and on. With the whole real numbers that we are aware of, if you can make a one-to-one set, that means that there's an equal infinity. But then they get into the topic of larger infinities. It's whoa, that's crazy. But seeing it visually in the motion graphics made it so much more clear to me about well, how does that work? The most clear one was the circles and defining sets of points on a circle. It's how can I prove to you that a circle has infinite points regardless of size, right? Take a circle of X radius and then another circle of Y radius and just map the radii. You can literally see that they are equal. You can spin that radii around and there will be one point on the smaller circle and a matching point on the bigger circle. And that's just so cool to me. And I definitely walk away wanting to spell that knowledge out for people. But I totally agree too of I would probably just have to have them watch the documentary to because I've
Yeah.
tried to explain the apple in the box theoretical scenario to people and they're like, what the fuck are you talking about? I don't.
Yeah.
That one blew my mind, absolutely.
It's there are so many mind-blowing things about infinity. That one in particular is just crazy.
Yeah.
And for viewers, the idea is that if you put an apple in a box, it eventually degrades into, it decomposes, it degrades into dust, and then into fundamental particles and energy. But because there are a finite amount of layouts or formats that it can take physically, eventually it does turn into an apple again.
And beyond
Well, it
that,
can be its own
turns into
ecosystem.
anything. It can anything
Yeah.
and everything that could exist inside of the box, the theoretical perfect material box that
Yes,
doesn't
I was
decay
going to say
itself, right?
we have to say that this is in the idea of having a perfect box, which is which is the one thing I was sitting there. I have a really, really hard time with theory. I have a really hard time not knowing what's going to happen. I'm very much Chris can attest to this. So when I'm watching this, and I think it's why I like history a lot. I love trying to figure out why something happened and it's happened already. Mm-hmm. And for this, I'm but how can it turn into anything? And it's the idea that it's a perfect box. And that doesn't exist in our nature. But if there was a perfect box, we could see this apple disintegrate and become literally anything.
Mm-hmm. And if
Which
we
I
had
think
to-
it's crazy.
What's a perfect
Is it
box?
What was that?
What's a perfect box?
Oh,
well,
man.
that's what they said it is.
If
but
anybody's,
what does it
if
mean? It
anybody
means
has
it
an
shields
answer
I
to
don't
that
know.
question, if
Okay.
anybody has an answer to that question, it would be this guy.
Yeah.
This guy knows what a perfect box is, and that's one that
Does he?
fits in. Any box
yeah.
he fits
If I
in is a
fits,
perfect
I
box.
sits.
For the audio listeners, I lifted up my cat Winslow into frame, so if you want to see a kitty, you'll just have to watch. I'm sorry.
And maybe grow a pair and start watching.
Maybe stop being a little
I mean-
baby.
I have to be honest. I'm very much an audio only listener for podcasts because it
Don't
feels
worry,
like.
I was including you in that.
Oh yeah, that was directed to you.
That was directed to you.
Is it because I'm a woman?
Was
I'm
he
the
actually-
only woman on the panel.
This is the bully Katie specifically for being
Yes.
a woman
Misogyny.
episode. Yes, this is the misogyny episode,
Misogyny.
everybody.
Yay, we finally got here.
You know what I do while I listen to podcasts? I clean the house like a woman does.
Like a woman.
But in regards to
Also,
Katie,
misogyny.
but no, fuck misogyny. Be nice.
These
women.
guys are not
We love women.
misogynists. That's why we can have this
In
game.
case the sarcasm wasn't clear.
Yeah, if it was not clear,
I think it's
whatever
abundantly
reason.
clear,
Here,
but in case I
I'll
need
make
to
it
say
more
it.
clear.
Maybe that's like
That's what we
our
think about misogyny.
that's like on Reddit the
/s.
That's our /s. So if when we're sarcastic, that's our /s.
We just lost Rumble as our sponsor, guys.
Yeah.
What is
Damn.
no.
Shit.
No.
I'm
but-
rumbling in my
Not
boots.
Rumble boxing.
That's so
Just
funny.
to be aware.
But
Rumble,
Katie,
the
when
online
we were
platform.
In the documentary, there's the thought experiment about the infinite hotel, right? A hotel that has
Oh, that made me
infinitely-
crazy, but I liked
infinitely
it.
many rooms and like infinitely many guests coming. So it's a very busy hotel, and it's always full. But it's also there's always a room available. And Katie's like, "How? I don't know how. That doesn't make any sense. It's impossible." And I'm like, "Well, that's infinity."
I also
right?
fell
They can-
asleep at one point during the documentary, but that was not because it was boring. It's because I was very tired.
Yeah, so we had to pick it up the
Just to know.
next day. But she's like, "I don't understand." I'm like, "Well, let's think about it for a second. If all the rooms are full, but there's an infinite amount of rooms, if everybody just goes out and goes one down, so +1 to where you currently are, it would leave the first one vacant. So therefore, somebody can enter
Yeah,
it.
but if they're all, I still have a problem with this. They're not all full.
But
They
that's
are
what-
not all full if someone can come and stay in a room.
Exactly. That's infinity. Because if the rooms are all occupied, right? Let's say 1 through infinity are currently occupied.
Yes.
Because there's an infinite number. There's no end. It's limitless.
Yeah, but if they're all occupied, there means there's no openings.
But because of infinity, there is. Because you can have everybody
No.
come out, move one down the hall.
If
Why
they
not?
come out, yes, but not
what I'm
if they're
saying.
all occupied.
Yeah, that's how they make room. Is they just everybody comes out, they go down one, and then the first room is open.
Well, yes, but I mean, if they don't move, they're
yeah,
all
well,
occupied.
of course, if they don't move, they're all occupied. But then you can make an
Yes.
occupancy. Grant.
Okay.
I have a question. So
I have a question.
I actually am aware. I was aware of this thought experiment before this documentary.
really?
But my question is, if it is infinity, of course, that means it never ends. What wouldn't calling every room occupied be like unimportant information? Because if it is never ending, it technically could never be occupied fully. Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yes.
Cool.
That's where I get confused because you can occupy it fully if it's infinite. That's where, and then how is there an opening if it's occupied fully?
I wish that Steven Strogatz, who was the guy who was like doing this thought experiment,
he's
was here.
so fucking cute. I love him.
Yeah, that's the other thing. Is like shout out to every single one of the mathematicians and physicists and cosmologists and philosophers because they were all incredible. I loved listening to them. But special shouts to Alan Lightman. I also loved Steven. Eugenia was. I loved listening to her talk about it. She
has such a lovely voice. She has such a cool voice.
She is a mathematics.
Mathematician.
She's
The
a
British
mathematician, an educator,
Yeah.
and a concert pianist.
Oh my god.
Of course she is.
Whatever.
Underachiever.
Also, Moon. I loved listening to Moon talk because she was the one who had to pause
Yeah,
for the train, and
she's
then she
really
talked
cool.
about the
Oh,
radii.
yeah.
She's just like, it's just so I don't know. She's so matter of fact and so clear when she speaks. But everybody
Yeah.
was just like super excited. But Steven was just like nah.
I love him. He is a certified cute man. It's like when you you look at a man in like his middle age or older and they're just like wholesome and they like, I don't know, they have like a cute hobby or they're just really smart and like endearing. It's kind of how I feel about Kamala's pick for VP.
That's what I've been hearing.
He's
Oh,
a
yeah.
cute man. He's
Yeah.
a wholesome cute man.
I saw
Well,
a
I-
picture of him with
Can
a
I
pig,
see what he looks like?
and it looks. So
I don't
Oh,
know
yeah.
if I know who this is.
Yeah,
Steven
he's
Walls?
just cute. He like, it's Mike.
Oh, Tim Walls.
Tim Walls. Jesus, I just remember his last name. But when he takes videos, he's like this, like parents are. You know what I mean? Like
That's
it's a
cute.
little cut off of their face, and they're saying stuff. I just think he's wholesome as cute.
We about to go balls to the walls.
Oh, he is super cute.
Yeah, but you need to
Right-
show a
right like
video of
Steve
him.
Martin.
Right
He
pig.
does kind of look
right
like
Tim
Steve
Waltz
Martin.
pig.
Tim Walls.
Pig.
Pig.
Yeah,
Oh,
he's
he's
holding a
talking about a
pig.
pig.
Kitty.
No,
you
Not-
like
he's
not
not
that
a
that he
pig.
is
He's
a
holding
pig.
a pig.
Sorry for the yelling. I love pigs a lot. This
Yeah,
is
that's
For
really
the
also-
audio
important to
listeners,
me.
get
adorable.
fucked.
Yes. So audio
Tim
listeners,
Walls holding a
it's Tim
pig.
Walls. He's wearing a Minnesota hat.
That's your Midwestern princess.
Minnesota Gopher. I think he's
love
also wearing a
Chaperone
Minnesota
though.
shirt. University
He's
of Minnesota,
so
that is.
fucking
And there's
cute.
a little baby pig that's like totally content in his arms, and he is having the time of his life.
Oh, he looks so happy.
God, I would be too.
He looks
So-
like
Chris, if we get married and you are not like that man in middle age,
divorce. No,
Have I
No,
given you
just-
any indication that I would suddenly, like the moment we get married, I'm like, nah.
I gotcha.
I gotcha. I'm actually like a
I am not a
miserable piece of shit.
Midwestern princess.
And I'm not from the Midwest. I'm from, I don't know, Montana. I don't know.
For the
That's
audio
the-
listeners,
that's
And
the
those
West.
glasses are not even needed.
Yeah,
just
and
like
actually, I don't
Grant.
even need these glasses.
what?
Grant.
I actually did need these glasses.
It's all been a ruse.
No, I think for the audio listeners, if you want to compare him to anything, he kind of looks like what an actor would look like if he played Santa Claus without a beard. Like
Oh,
he
yeah.
kind of gives that vibe, that very
Wow. He
jolly
looks-
kind of old guy.
He looks like someone I know and in my life, and I can't picture who it is. I saw him talking, and you know when you see someone talking and they don't need to look exactly alike, but they have similar mannerisms, and I know I'll get it at some point. But you know, there's familiarity to him, and I
Totally.
really like him.
Yeah, he's
Anyway.
like a retired teacher. He's a veteran. Yeah,
More teachers need to be in politics.
the more that I find out about him, the more excited that I get about him. Anyway,
He is infinite. That's why we're talking about
yes,
him.
he is infinite.
Yeah, this is not a political podcast. I'm Canadian. I'm not.
Yeah, exactly. Mo has
advocating for
no
any of
skin in
these
the
people.
game.
We have spoken about RFK in the past, not
true.
positively, but still.
And in that
Where-
moment, I
where were
swear we were
Honestly, I
infinite.
don't remember.
It was the
Oh,
brain
we were talking
worm.
about the hotel, right?
Oh yeah, the thought experiment they were talking about, Steven. I was just saying, like, to have him here listening to this discussion, he'd probably be like really giddy because, you know, that's the fun of it, is that it doesn't make sense. Infinity fundamentally doesn't make sense because you have this paradox of like all the rooms could never be full and yet they are, and yet you could just like keep having people move down one to vacate a room, and there's one now there's vacancy, but there's so many people, but that's infinity.
Because it's like because we're trying to confine it by finite numbers where it can be filled.
Yeah.
But you can put infinity in infinity and it still goes. It's
Yeah.
still infinite. It still doesn't stop.
There's no end. I mean, that's we are looking for a destination in everything because that's just human experience. It's
Wow.
like,
Yeah.
oh yeah, there's
Points.
an end to the day. There's an end to the trip. There's an end
Our
to this.
lives.
There's an end to our lives. Like literally everything that we know is finite. So to try to conceptualize and think about what the infinite could look like, we can't. We literally, and that's what Brian Greene, the physicist, was talking about. He's like, whenever I try to talk about these things, I use a particular yardstick, which is, can we measure it? Can we wrap our arms around it and say, here it is? That's infinity. And with it, no, we can't. You know, they talk about subdividing space down to the Planck length. And he's like, that's the smallest possible thing that we're aware of before physics itself breaks down. So we know that there is a limit. There's a lower limit of infinity, at least. And that's what they're getting at with like all these multiple universe ideas. Like, if we are truly infinite, but we know there's a finite amount of particles in space, then it has to repeat, right? And therefore, there are copies of us they would have to in infinity, and that's where it starts to break down.
That's what I found super interesting about that concept, because I've like the whole like many worlds theory I've always kind of thought was cuckoo, but this explained it in a way. If the universe is infinite, which we don't know that, but if it were, and there's only so many combinations of all the possible particles that we have, then like you said, there are different versions of us doing different things, just because infinity never ends. So at some point there will be a different version of us, which is, I was like, that actually like makes sense, logical sense to me, instead of being like, but what if? And it's like, no, like that's what would happen if it was infinite.
Yeah. I will say a lot of stuff which kind of can annoy me about like theoretical physics, or like, because I'm someone who just loves history. I love like, I don't know, people and like present, I don't know, is that sort of like, yeah, but maybe like you're an apple on another planet, and like maybe you have another family, and all this stuff that like feels so silly. Like it doesn't feel like it's rooted in reality, or like perceived reality, or even tested or supposed reality. But it did feel like yeah, it did feel like there was some backing to it. I will say it's really funny the part where like they're talking about having copies of everybody and they change that woman's shirt to different colors. It reminds me of on Amazon when there's like a really cheap company trying to sell a t-shirt and they like edit the t-shirts to be different colors. And you can tell really easily that it's like this. Anyway, what is the highest level of math you guys took in school?
Not high.
See, it's so funny. I failed calculus. Not that I failed. I stopped taking it because I was like, it wasn't a requirement. I wanted to try it, but at the time, I just like, I couldn't. And it's interesting because I've said this on this podcast. I'm pretty sure that I think that there are different. I am more equipped now to understand calculus than I was in high school because now I much more understand it as a language and mathematics as a language, as opposed to just like, 1 + 1 = 2. And like, because I feel like when I was in high school and middle school, I was just memorizing equations and then plugging things into those equations. And calculus was really the first time that it ever asks you to like use syntax. If this is present, what do you do? If you have these variables, how can you use them to find this? And I couldn't. I was like, I don't know. This does not work. It just does. I don't get it. And so I stopped taking it. So really, trigonometry.
Yeah, same here. I loved math throughout high school, but then I got to college. We're supposed to take calc. I didn't need to for my goals, and I was like, I dropped out of the class. But there's a point I want to make about like science and math education in general, which is that I don't think we had the tools in the past to make these topics as interesting as we now can, thanks to visuals. Like after the YouTube era and seeing these amazing science channels come to life and get a broad audience of people who don't care about science necessarily, but who are just interested in good videos, I was like, wow, this is like the way to reach more people. And even like with this documentary, like I underestimated the degree to which visuals are important to science communication and science accessibility. Like I have a ton of respect for all the theoretical physicists who got interested in those topics without having any of this and just purely through their imagination. But I think a lot of people can't do that. But now I think we're getting to a place where we're starting to make these ideas interesting to everyone, which I think like to Chris's point, like it makes people want to go and learn the topics more deeply now that they understand why they should.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's a great point. I think I will say for myself, I always hated math growing up. I went to a school that had a really strong STEM program after coming from a school that had a really weak math program. And basically the lowest level I could take was like trig and like all of that. And I basically had to skip like a year of geometry, which was normal at that time. Like freshman friends that I had in other schools had to take a year of geometry. And in my second year of math, it was called Analysis 1, and we had like a month of geometry, but I never liked it. It was like shapes and things. I just had a really hard time picturing it on paper. And then I ended up really liking math because I really fucking cared and like put so much energy in it, because I'm like, I'm not going to let myself like get bogged down by this. I want to get better. And then I really liked the kind of like higher level trig that I did. But then when I got to AP Calc, it was really overwhelming. I ended up like during my AP Calc test, I got like such bad senioritis and like put my head down during my AP Calc test because I just got too overwhelmed with everything. I ended up getting like a 1, where like I think if like I was better at word problems and like maybe had more time or didn't feel the pressure of like an AP test, I probably could have done better. But I think like anything with like shapes and trying to picture shapes in this way and like trying to correspond with that, I really had trouble with. But I think, like you said, Mo, if there was more, and I had an incredible math teacher for my last 2 years of high school. I love him. It has nothing to do with him. I think I got exhausted, but I think also that was like not even 10 years ago that I was taking that, almost 10 years ago. But if we had more visual and like animated examples, I think I would have probably understood it more. There were times like when Chris explained something to me, I forget what it was. I think it was the light thing, when they were talking about how light isn't fast. You can explain it better, Chris, but I was like, what? I don't get that. And it kind of went over my
Technically,
head.
we see the past because of this concept of infinity, right? We perceive what we're seeing as instantaneous because technically it is, right? Our brain is like processing the information. And if we didn't perceive it as instantaneous, we wouldn't be able to like pick things up properly, right? But technically speaking, the light is not bouncing off of the wall next to me and hitting my eye, and the light from the screen is not being projected instantaneously to my eye. It's traveling incredibly fast, hundreds of thousands of miles per second, but it's still taking time to get to my eye. So technically, I'm not viewing the present, as we would call it. I'm viewing something that happened 0.000000000000000000001 seconds ago, because it's not instant. It's effectively instant, but technically it's not. So when we look up at the stars and we're observing galaxies that are
scales
billions of light years away, that means the light from those galaxies is billions of years old. So we're technically looking at something that is happening billions of years ago. In the same way that they say that information, because what we're gathering is visual information, electricity is information. We gain information from electricity. It can't be translated or sent rather faster than the speed of light. Information that we're getting from outside of our planet is the past. Everything around us.
Did you guys get that when you watched it?
Yeah, I'm aware of this concept.
Okay.
They dabbled in it in Interstellar, not a lot, but they dabbled in it.
Oh, see. Mm-hmm.
But yeah, he's right. It's like if you're looking at something really far away, it scales. So if you're looking at something 3 million light years away, you're looking at something 3 million years ago. You're literally looking into the past, which is kind of scary and cool. But yeah.
Yeah, I've heard of it for stars. Like if you're looking at a star, it looks alive, but it might actually be dead. It's just that the amount of time it takes to get to your eyes is so long that star might actually not exist right now.
Yeah, it reminds me of something I learned growing up. Is if the sun turned off right now, we wouldn't know for 8 minutes.
Yep.
That's
which
wild.
is baffling, but yeah.
That is really cool. It really took me a second to kind of grasp that once Chris said, I was like, oh, I see what they're saying. It's overwhelming to think about. It's really hard to sort of like shift your day-to-day perspective and understand that. What were you going to say, Chris?
So we're kind of getting into it. I joked about it at the beginning of the episode, but I said, anybody feeling existential? And a lot of you responded no. So I wanted to touch on that. What about the documentary made you feel, because like sometimes it happens to me, because I don't really get existential when I think about these higher concepts of like how small we are and whatever. It does feel that way for a lot of people. They think about that and they're like, I don't want to think about, the endless nothing or whatever, right? It can be overwhelming, but just about everybody, I think. I don't think anybody said
I did.
You feel
I
a
did
little
say no,
existential
which is
about it?
wild. Oh, I mean, here's what I'll say. I think I'm always existential. Like, even if I'm not contemplating these things, just like really sort of being like, what is this all about? Why am I... I've once cried because I was like, why do I need to take care of myself? Why do I need to shower? Like existentially, what the fuck, in my dark times. But I will say, normally I would approach this sort of content and come out of it being like, holy fuck, I'm so overwhelmed. I'm so upset. This is so much. But the way that they talked about it at the end, like the confidence and the sort of like clarity and comfort that they had at the end, like, yeah, like we are part of this bigger thing and it's okay. That really changed my perspective on it. I don't know exactly who said what to make me feel that way, but I remember being like, oh, yeah, it is okay. Like, it is going to end and that's okay.
Yeah, I had a similar moment like that when I think it was Alan Lightman who said, like when he was 10 years old, he looked up at the starry sky and he thought his life didn't matter. And so like he had that existential dread very early on in his life. And like he realized the universe existed a long time before he was born. It would continue to exist after, that he was a speck of dust that didn't matter. But then he fell in love and that changed everything for him, and that he mattered, even though they might both be specks in the cosmos. I thought that was a nice, touching, emotional moment in an otherwise not so emotional documentary.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I think because you matter to someone else, that inherently, like, not that I do think everybody matters. I think that is something that comes up, especially in mental health. People being like, I am one of billions of people. Why do I matter? But I think there's a concept, because you matter to someone else and they matter to you. They're like, inherently you have value because you are a presence in someone's life. Is there something wrong?
Oh, hey.
I don't know. I guess my idea is like, because it's so easy for me. I fall in the pit sometimes and like, why does any of it matter? But it's like, oh, I have relationships with people. We're all sort of like in this universal contract of like, we are living our lives. We are making friends. We are in relationships. We are taking care of pets. We have plants. We have families. And we are a part of something bigger because of those things that to me sort of, if nothing else guarantees your value, that guarantees value to me, I guess. But I have to see exactly what they said that it like really comforted me in a way that I didn't think it would. I think I would have left. I normally would have left being like, okay, I'm going to go throw up now. Like, I just feel like,
One of them literally said that their wife feels nauseous every time they talk about infinity. I think it was Strogatz who said it.
I can't remember the specifics, but I remember learning about this in school. It was basically a study on an animal, can't remember which, where take this with a grain of salt, everyone. I'm not a scientist. But essentially the animals were there was two groups, one that would get shocked intermittently but would have no control over when or why, and then another group would have some level of control over when and why, and the animals that had more control lived longer than the animals that did not have control, because at that point you just kind of have to give up, like your body just gives out, and like your mental acuity towards it matters towards your physical health too. I don't remember how we got here, but yeah.
So
no, I vaguely remember this thing you're referencing.
Yeah. Well, that's interesting that you bring that up at this concept of, I mean, like that's a direct correlation between control of pain and control of whatever. And I was going to say, I've always felt this way, not always, but in more recent years in my life, I've been like, the more that I realize that things are outside of my control, the better that I feel about them, especially these like larger concepts. And I've said this to Katie, is that this is a great show. It's a great display of this, is that people who are scientists in STEM, in mathematics, physics, whatever, when you start to delve into these more theoretical topics, you get to this point where they're like, well, we don't know. And they have this almost spiritual discussion about it. I think that's why they brought in philosophers as well. And that's comforting, because you look at this with awe of like, I'm just a very small being having this grand experience, like this really grand experience, because we can actively recognize our place in the cosmos. And that's insane, right? Like all of these functions that we're talking about of like being able to like map light and, you know, look at the cosmos and say like, oh yeah, we know that this is like the smallest length possible. Like, how do we know that? There he is. Audio listeners, get on video. But it's comforting. There's a level of it where it's like, it's out of your control. So in this context, yeah, releasing, it's the opposite effect. I feel like the more that I feel that I have control over this day and age, the worse I feel, right? Because it's like, well, if I'm not like thinking about that stuff all the time, like what's happening with the economy and what's happening with politics and what's happening with this and happening with that, I think it's important to stay informed. But there's only so much you have control over. And if you think that you have control over some of these things, you're going to end up very miserable. You're going to be in pain. And I mean, this is what, you know, Buddhism talks about too, is like releasing that kind of control and recognizing your place and like who you are and what you are and your experience. You become so much more, not necessarily happy, but you become at ease and you become serene and peaceful.
A therapy thing too.
Yeah.
It's about releasing control. My thought, the reason I don't really get existential about it is that Like, yes, it is unfathomable. Oh, I can't even say that word. It's so big. It's so big.
Unfathomably. It's hard to say.
There it is. It's hard to say. It's so massive. It's so big. It's easy to be like, well, why do I matter? Well, when in fact mattering is a human concept. So what does and doesn't matter is totally up to you. So like, yes, do
So
the
true.
planets and the stars care about you? No. Does that mean you have to care about them though? That's the thing, is we're still people. There are still things that matter in our world. Whether it's greater mattering or not, would that make you feel better? Like it is what it is. And I think it's better to focus on what matters to you than trying to make the universe make you matter, if that makes sense. Like you have value in yourself. You don't need the universe to tell you you have value.
You're talking about external validation versus internal validation too.
Right. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Like you are valuable as who you are and what you are. It doesn't mean that, like, do you want to be a planet? That sounds, I mean, that'd be neat, I guess. But
I beat Jupiter. I called Jupiter.
You be Jupiter when you're bloated.
I'll be Jupiter so I can be more stupider.
I was born under Jupiter. Did you guys ever hear about like plants you were born under?
no.
Maybe it's a stupid thing.
That's an
but I
astrology
think-
thing. And to quote Grant, that doesn't matter.
That's not a real thing.
That's not real.
That doesn't mean anything.
So like we talked about, like it's whatever you want
I like
to matter
astrology.
is what matters.
Yeah, it's, you like it.
Just like whether or not a religion is true, whether or not going only by science and not going religion is true, it doesn't matter. It matters what you believe. And it's ultimately how it gets you through, because it's really easy to go, well, if I'm just a speck in the universe, I can do whatever the hell I want, when that is and isn't true, because that may not affect the Andromeda galaxy, but it does immediately impact the people around you. So like, what do you mean by not mattering? It's all in perspective.
Yeah, that's interesting.
He was gonna jump onto something.
You guys
What
know
was that
how-
ringing sound, Chris? There
I
was
know,
a
I heard
ringing
that
sound
too.
in our
I wasn't
house.
It
sure if
might
that
be. I
was-
think it's in my house.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. You guys know this idea that like anxiety can be interpreted as excitement? Like
It's the same
physiologically, it's the
physiological,
same
yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. One of the things this documentary has been making me wonder is if there's a similar thing with existential dread, where the other side of it could be awe, because that's what I feel sometimes. There are certain subreddits.
That is a great point.
It's an interesting idea.
Yeah, like there's some subreddits. There's one called megalophobia, where you can look at like really big things, and then like in comparison how small humans are. And I love looking at it. And I don't have this phobia, but I feel awe when I see it. And I feel a similar thing when I saw this documentary. I was like, okay, this is existential, but it's not necessarily negative. I didn't necessarily feel dread the whole time. There was a bit of that, but it kind of flip-flopped back and forth to where I was like, oh, this is just awesome in the literal sense of that word.
Right. Mm-hmm. What if
Yeah.
instead of being scary, why couldn't it be cool? Yeah. No,
So
I
funny,
love
you
that.
made me think of something that I didn't have a real tangent for this episode. I feel like a lot of us, this has just been like a very nice conversation.
But you have your
about-
book.
Well, yeah,
I feel
wanted
like
to
we
do-
just had a tangent.
I wanted to do show and tell, so it made me immediately think of this book by Mr. Randall Munroe. This is the author of XKCD. It's serious scientific answers to absurd hypothetical questions, which it feels like sometimes that's what theoretical physics is. It's like, well, if we have a perfect box and then you put all of the atoms in it, and he says, well, why does that matter? And they have good reasons. It's not just like, oh, what if? And this is exactly that. It's what if, right? There are so many questions. I'll just read a couple of these questions off.
Yes.
This is low key an advertisement for this book.
Not
It is a
sponsored.
very cool book.
See here.
Chris would read it to me when he was going to bed and he was reading it. He's like, oh, listen to this one.
How long could a nuclear submarine last in orbit? Is it possible to build a jetpack using downward firing machine guns?
Jetpack Joyride?
Yeah, exactly, right? If every
God,
human somehow
jetpacks.
simply disappeared from the face of the earth, how long would it be before the last artificial light source would go out?
I've
love
heard that question before.
It's
Yeah.
so cool, right? How many Lego bricks would it take to build a bridge capable of carrying traffic from London to New York? Have that many Lego bricks been manufactured? Right? And it's these interesting hypotheticals. What is the longest possible sunset you can experience while driving, assuming we are obeying the speed limit and driving on paved roads? How long would it take for people to notice their weight gain if the mean radius of the world expanded by 1 centimeter every second? Because gravity would increase. Little things like that. That was going to be my tangent. It's just a little show and tell. I love this book. I love pondering
That's
these
awesome.
things. You know, my favorite one in here is what would happen if you fired a bullet that had the mass of a neutron star. Like, that's a really, really fun one. But Mo's made me think of something in regards to existentialism and almost accepting it. And that is, I don't know if it's directly related because it might be a new genre that I don't even know how to describe, but like dark academia on YouTube, where it's like, you are this in this, right? There are lots of like, you are a villain, like a Shakespearean villain plotting your revenge. And it's just like, you're listening, it's a music playlist and it's like classical music or whatever. But there's this person that I follow on YouTube because mostly the music is just really good for focus work and stuff like that. But it's just good. Goes by the name of Nobody. And let me just show a few of these. Let me read a few of these off. You're a Mongolian warrior conquering the ancient world. You've survived the nuclear war, but you know this is the end. Chaos, 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 chaos. The future we were promised. You're John Keats listening to a nightingale in a dream while this disappointing world fades away. And it's just like, and you go to the comments and people are like, this just helps me like unwind at the end of the day. But it's all of these kind of like existential things. The endless pain of feeling worthless.
And it's just
Right.
like study music, right? Like
It's essentially
ambient?
study music.
Okay.
I haven't listened to a lot of these, but I love this one, a playlist to romanticize studying geology.
Love
You
those.
know, the feeling of waking up at night after a very long nap. So many things like that. And I don't know what to call this. Is it dark academia? Is it dark existentialania? Like what? I think it's, or maybe it's like bright existentialism because it is existential. And some of these playlists are like kind of like in your feelings kind of playlists, but yet the reaction to it is like, it's like acceptance and an exhale and calm, you know, it's serene, it's serenity. So what is that? Well, I don't even know how to describe that. Like this is a feeling without words. It's like the Dictionary of Obscure Sorrows. Have you heard of this? The Dictionary of Obscure Sorrows is where we get certain words that have kind of come into. It's funny because he started it as creating words to describe feelings that don't have words attached to them. And some of the words have kind of made their way into the world. So sonder is a word that he invented, and people use that now. What else? I'll share my screen quickly as well. So this is the exact word that I just referenced, sonder. He has created this word. It's a noun, and it's the realization that each random passerby is living a life as vivid and complex as your own, populated with their own ambitions, friends, routines, worries, and inherited craziness. So we don't have a word that means that, so he invented it. He used.
Is it like solemn wonder?
Yeah, I don't know. He usually has video essays that go along with it. I don't know if he always defines the etymology of them, but there's lots of words like that.
That's cool.
Here. Yeah, I love it because it's just like auspice, a wistful omen of the first sign of autumn. You know, like, oh, whoa, that's like, you know, it's very cozy. I've made a song based on this word. Agnosthesia, the state of not knowing how you really feel about something. My brother made his senior thesis film off of Lutalica, which is the idea that your personality can't fit into boxes. Things like that. It makes me think of that.
How did you guys feel about the black and white? Was that a choice that you think made any difference? Did you like it? Would you have done the same thing? Like all the interviews, they were done in black and white. And I'm trying to figure out why they did that. Maybe
Not all
part
of them.
it-
They did change into color sometimes, but yes.
Oh, I didn't notice that.
Yeah.
Okay.
I liked it because it was, when we're talking about this, and the fact that they had a literal chalkboard behind them, because a chalkboard is black and
yeah.
white. It's monochromatic, and most like writing is monochromatic.
And
Okay,
spaces,
but wait,
too.
when
the most part,
the
yeah.
train passed behind, what was that woman's name
Moon.
that you brought up? Moon.
Yeah, that was cool.
I'm guessing they had a curtain behind them. That was crazy. That was a crazy moment where I was like, it's not a wall.
Oh, I
behind
think
them?
yeah, that was just like CGI, right?
Oh, the train,
No.
yes, but she's
Yeah.
talking about the background.
Oh wait, this train was CG. What?
Yeah.
So the train moving behind them was CGI. Like they didn't.
I've
yeah,
been living in Brooklyn too long.
It's so funny. Like
No,
there
you
was a
can literally
literal
see
train-
the train in the back of
there
people's
was a literal
sometimes.
train that was making noise, and they were waiting for it to pass. But they
I'm so
added
dumb.
the train in post.
My brain immediately was like, "Oh yeah, they have a train right
That's a
behind
train, yeah,
the
whatever.
studio."
How's the
That's
train?
a
Look at it
really
go.
weird way to. Because I used to live right by a train, and I've known
Yeah.
people who've lived next to the train, and that's awful. But
No, I think the black and white, I thought it was fun. I don't know. I like artsy fartsy.
I like black and white. Yeah.
Yeah, I thought it was fun. I honestly don't know if they were attempting to tell something with the black and white. I think that probably went over my head. I'm sure there probably was a reason, but I just didn't really see it. But I liked it. It's fun.
Yeah. And one really interesting thing I noticed was a lot of the different visuals that they use, it didn't necessarily have one coherent aesthetic or art style. I think that was okay. I don't think that was a bad thing. I actually thought it was interesting. Like if you think about the Godzilla type depiction that they did, that was very different than the art style that we saw with the animation for the hotel. And that
Yeah.
was very different from all the other stuff we saw. There was a,
sure
lot,
there's
of different art
artists.
styles. Yeah, exactly. Like when
Yeah.
the credits came up, I was like, wow, there's like a lot of different teams worked on this. And it
Oh, I
it
didn't
kinda
even look at the
worked.
credits. That makes sense.
Yeah.
I didn't
yeah.
either, but yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
No, it makes a lot of sense. I'm like, how did this person do all of this?
In our defense,
Duh.
Netflix doesn't exactly
It's true.
give you
Oh,
the
let you
option
see
a lot
it.
of times. It's just
That's
like,
true.
we're going to play the next one if you don't, like, get the fuck out of here.
It's threatening you with a good time. Yeah.
Are you still there?
Yeah, exactly.
Literally. You know what the thought I had? I was like, I guess I've never been good at drawing, but like the fact that they at the end created this sort of like hypothetical vision of what like the universe will look like was so crazy to watch. I was like, how do you come up with that visually and then like, or like in your brain and then translate it? Because you're really not working from like anything. Like maybe a description that like a theoretical physicist like came up with, but I was just like, wow, like it was not what I would picture, but it also feels so right. Yeah, I mean, I always think of infinity as like the planets and the stars and then just like nothing.
Yeah.
And they were sort of like, well, if that goes away and showing all these boxes and I was like, it was just crazy to watch.
Yeah. Black holes always get me feeling the way you felt. Anytime
Yeah.
their depiction of a black hole with the sounds and everything, even though I'm guessing there wouldn't be any sound in space, was just like, oh my god.
There probably is sound.
Yeah. There is there?
There
No,
is
there,
no
would,
sound in
there wouldn't be
space.
sound. Space is a vacuum, and sound needs a medium to travel through.
Yeah.
See, I'm like, yeah, of course there's sound. And Chris then will clarify why there wouldn't be. And I'm like, yeah, it makes sense. But my brain's like,
Yeah, I mean, I blame the
technically,
media.
If you're flying in a ship and something happens outside of the ship, and if those waves were to like the energy were to hit the ship, it might make the ship reverberate, which would then make sound go into. You know what I mean? Like, so technically speaking, there would be it would make a sound if it had a medium to travel through, like even your bones. But what we're literally saying is that in space, as it exists right now, there is no sound. You know, it's just like if you're in empty space.
If there was
There's-
air, there
yeah.
would be sound,
If
but there was no
liquid,
air.
if there was a medium, an actual medium for it to travel through, there would be sound. But since there isn't, there isn't a way for it to travel through it.
My brain's just like sound happens.
Yeah, it does.
Sound happens.
I feel that.
You
Yeah.
know?
Well, same thing with like how, like we talked about, what's the speed of light? Like, I apply this to games because that's what I do a lot of my time with. But like in certain games, they can make it so a gunshot, for instance, is instantaneous, or you can have it as a projectile. But when you're in close quarters in games that they are projectiles, they're so fast it feels like it's instantaneous. But as soon as you add an extra 50 feet between you and your enemy, then all of a sudden, oh, this is actually taking a lot longer to get there than I'm used to. So kind of similar concept for that helps me. It's all in perspective. So like all our world is all built to where effectively it is instantaneous because we're so close together. But once it becomes scaled up, then the difference in time becomes actually really important.
Well, in audio visual systems, especially sound reinforcement systems at like concerts and things like that, usually specifically if it's like, there's a speaker and it needs to be a directional sound, you have to take into account the fact that sound travels at a certain speed, and the distance that you are from a stage can start to affect the way that you hear the sound. Because if you're way far back away from the stage, the sound from those speakers will reach you after, especially if there are speakers next to you. Like let's say you're, 2,000 feet from the stage, and there are speakers next to you because they're trying to have a nice even wall of sound all the way back, even for the people who are super far back. The sound from those speakers will reach your ears before the sound from the other speakers closer to the stage. So you can have echo, and you can have all of this, like, it's basically, it would create like standing waves and noise, and it'd be a whole mess. So you have to account for the speed of sound and the fact that electricity is instantaneous, and you have to add a delay to the speakers that are farther and farther away from the main sound source. It's things like that. You don't think about it until you directly encounter it. And this is, in the same way that, Katie, you just had the experience of CGI being invisible, right? You're like, well, it was just a train. It was just, a train.
I need
These
to rewatch
aspects-
that because I think I'd be like, oh, duh. Like,
Yeah, well,
I think it was my Brooklyn clouding me.
But these aspects happen in your day-to-day life. You just expect things to work a certain way because we're used to it just working.
Yeah.
A house stands up because it's a house. Of course it's supposed to stand up, right? Your lights turn on and it illuminates the room because of course it's supposed to, and it happens instantly,
Yeah.
You go to a concert and you're listening to the music. You don't think about these kinds of things, the average person. You don't need to necessarily.
For the light and sound thing, lightning is always a good example. You see lightning and then you hear the thunder afterward. That's why there's that delay sometimes.
I actually saw lightning strike the other day. Like it struck
Wow.
right close to me for the first time, and that was
Scary.
really crazy.
Crazy. Oh, on the topic of light, I was disappointed by the fact that the universe is too big for us to get anywhere meaningful, even if we travel at the speed of light. Like that's the fastest thing that we know is light. And even if we get there somehow, like we can't even fathom a concept that would allow us to move more quickly than that and actually reach some of the infinite possibilities that they talked about out there. And it's just like I'm not even talking about the literal technology. We can't even fathom a concept that would let us move more quickly. That's just, I'm disappointed
Mo,
by
just
that.
jump in your Cybertruck.
Yeah.
Yeah, Mo.
It's got cyber
Yeah.
in the name.
I saw
Mo,
one
do you
the
have a
other
s-
day.
Oh, I thought Mo literally
I
had a
don't.
Cybertruck.
Oh,
And I was
No,
like,
no,
Take the
no,
bus,
no.
people.
He lives
a
in
good
Canada. He cares
Canadian.
about public transportation.
It's so funny. Yeah, it's a crazy concept, and we've literally, this is where, again, existentialism and all that stuff can really kind of creep in, where asking these questions of like, well, what happens like at the infinite, like there's kind of a part of me that's like, we'll never know, and should we still be asking these questions if we will never know? And this idea of infinity existing, it probably doesn't, but we'll never truly know, right? That's like, whoa, that's kind of a crazy thing to think about. But then, people, if we brought somebody from 1,000 years ago into the modern world, they'd be like, what the going on? We couldn't conceive of it, and maybe that's just as evolution continues. If we, live on for millions and millions of years in the human race, maybe we'll evolve and change and start to like think differently or perceive differently. Because at the end of the day, it's just, all we have to go on is what we perceive. And
what we
perceive
currently know.
the
What
past.
we can currently measure.
Exactly. What if what if over time we evolve to start to, the neurons in our brain are able to perceive things differently. And now it's like, oh my God, wait, no, we know this about space-time, so we can manipulate it by doing this. We just don't know. There's no way to know, but there's
Yeah.
also no way to know that it's not possible for us sometime in the future.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's the fun thing about science is that the facts and the laws that we know for now are only true until we find something that disproves it. So it could be that it is fact, that it is law, or we just don't know a thing yet.
We're not
It's
there
interesting.
Yeah. There was, toward the end of the documentary, a part where they talked about what happens after life ends and the universe ends, and all that's left is like particles wafting through the darkness. And that made me wonder, isn't that like what the state of the universe was before the Big Bang? And that made me wonder, what if this isn't the first time there has been a universe? What if this is like universe number 10 or
Oh God.
because
Oh,
like
please.
maybe
That's how
after
my
that
brain
universe
feels.
ends and those particles are wafting through the darkness, it's possible there will be another Big Bang and then another universe starts. And so we might not even be the first one that have ever like experienced consciousness.
Yeah.
It's pretty
Very
wild.
possibly. This is not infinite. However, all these concepts remind me of something very interesting. Something called,
Chicken.
and for audio listeners, suck it. You're not going to get to see it. But it is a concept. It is a website called the Library of Babel. I'm not sure if you guys are familiar with this concept. However, it is a library with every possible combination of words and letters in I think 3,200 word limit. Every single possible combination. And here's what it says. The library is divided into hexagonal chambers, each with 4 walls of bookcases, 5 shelves per wall, and 32 volumes per shelf. There is any combination of 3,260 numbers and letters and or lowercase letters, and you can choose what hall you want to go into. So we'll just choose 6. And this is what we're looking at. It
Whoa.
shows exactly what it's called, a hexagonal room with bookshelves and such. So you can go in and you can choose what volume, and it will show, like, you can choose the volumes now. I'll choose this first one. It shows this big wall of text. This is just one of the millions and millions and millions of possible combinations of letters and numbers and commas and periods. This is super interesting because it is every possible combination within that set number of characters. You can literally type in anything and it's already in the library.
Whoa.
So, for instance, hi, my name is Grant. Search. It shows up. The exact match will show up all these different times. So, like right here, we're just going to go directly to it. The title of the book is Hi, My Name is Grant. And this scales. So you could literally write an entire paragraph that you think is original, and it will already be in this library.
Can you search pee pee poo poo la la man?
Yes, I can.
Very scientific term.
Yes, I can.
La La Man. Yes. And then it will be, I'm sure it will, there's a title, but it will also.
That's impossible.
There is also in it, Pee Pee Poo Poo, La La Man. There it is. And it scales for however much you want to write within that set number of characters. Your book that you will write that has not been written yet is already in this library. Isn't that fucking
What
weird?
the fuck?
That's weird.
Wow.
How is it? Okay, I shouldn't even ask.
So, okay.
Well, this is the exact same concept as the apple in the box. The apple in the box talks about the apple is made of fundamental particles, right? A certain amount of fundamental particles, and if you leave them for infinity, they will exist at some point in every single possible state that they could be in, which means that you could open up the box theoretically at some point in the future in infinite time, and you'll have your apple, or there'll be a watch, or like whatever, or it'll just be like plasma in your face, you know,
Yeah.
like it'll be like pure hot gas. It'll be a rod of plutonium or something, and you'll just like instantly get, you know, radiation to your face. This is the same
Yeah, and
concept.
this
That's
is not
crazy.
infinite. This is finite. So there is not an infinite number of combinations as far as language is concerned in this particular context. So there is a limit to how much can be said in the English language. So this is just showing the confines of language. This isn't necessarily saying how much can be said, period. This is just saying how much can be said in English. Or anything that uses our letters and numbers.
Why does it say contemplate the variation of the 23 letters?
I think that's just saying the variation of the limits of our language, of this language.
But we have 26 letters.
I don't know. I didn't make it.
Grant, you need to have
I'm
these
sorry, I don't
answers
know,
ready to go.
but it's really fascinating. And a lot of people have looked into this going like, well, doesn't this take away like the achievement of writing a really great book? Like, doesn't this mean you didn't truly write it? Which is not the case as far as I'm concerned. I think you're still writing it. You're still using your creative brain, but instead of generating it per se, you are discovering it, which is interesting. Under the confines of the rules that it has set up, there's a lot of rules in this for it to be able to be possible. But just by the very simple fact that you can write in a paragraph from your book and search it in the Library of Babel and it's there already, shows that it just shows the limit of our current language system. So just like with the known universe and the known particles that exist, there is only a set number. It's huge. It's incredibly huge, but there is a set number of particles and configurations of those particles, which is just crazy.
I have a question though.
Mm-hmm.
Is it like the number of characters has like all limits?
How do you
Because
mean?
we just saw
It's up
like
to 3,200 characters, I think.
Yeah, so each volume is 3,200-ish characters.
okay.
As long as it
Okay.
can fit within 3,200 characters, it's already there. And as long as it's lowercase and doesn't use any extra characters besides commas and periods and numbers. And that, like, this technically can scale higher, much higher, because it doesn't include other symbols and capitals and that kind of thing. So that's even more exponentially bigger with those variations. But this is just kind of showing that despite how you may think you are making this, it's more like you're discovering it rather than making it. So,
Wild.
Isn't that really interesting? Like I could put a script of mine into this thing and find it, which is weird.
You could put into it like if you like had a conversation with somebody close to you like last night and they said something interesting, word for word, you could put it in.
It's
and
already there.
Probably there.
Yep. No, not probably.
That's
it is
so crazy.
there. Which is weird.
Crazy.
Even Skibbity Toilet.
Sure is.
Check it out right now. I need
All
proof.
right, we're
I need to
loading it
know.
up. But the way that they generated this too is actually super fascinating because this isn't like it's not like it's stored per se. It's still generated when you search it, because storing this amount of information would be crazy. But yeah, the engineering behind it is really cool.
So it's procedurally generated?
In a way, yes.
If it's generated, isn't that less interesting? Because you could tell ChatGPT to be like, "Hey, generate this thing with this phrase."
Oh, no. I think I know what you're getting at is that because it has hex codes, it doesn't need to actually store all of
Correct.
it. It can say, we have a hex code. This pulls up a reference, and then I can generate that using
Correct.
the hex
And it
code.
will be the same
as
every
opposed to-
time when you use that hex code.
It's like a Minecraft
Yeah,
seed,
exactly.
right? It like you give it a seed, and then it generates a specific world.
Can you
based on
explain in
that seed.
Fortnite terms?
In Fortnite terms, no, I refuse.
Skibbity toilet.
Can you translate?
Skibbity
What
toilet.
the
the
fuck?
Library of Babel.
We got skibbity toilet.
It's towards the end too.
Like, and it's not the
Squidward
only,
running.
It's not the only example of it either. It looks like one of them is called Skibbity Toilet. The name of the volume is Skibbity Toilet.
It's the first. Oh, never mind.
First out of this bookshelf.
Right.
Wait, that's actually hilarious that it is the first of this bookshelf.
Yeah, well, that's
Skibbity Toilet book.
That's the name of the volume, I think, which has 410 pages. Here we can double check that. Let me see. So we're just gonna browse. We're gonna go into a random one, and then so there's a wall of there's 5 shelves, each have volumes, and then each volume will have 410 pages.
That makes sense.
So there's that.
Okay.
So that's why we saw the first page, because that was the name of the volume. But yes.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, that's my fascinating concept for today.
Yep. Katie, are you next?
Sure. So I was like, I don't know what to talk about. What does Infinity make me think of? Infinity, the car brand. So
This video is
I didn't-
sponsored by Infinity.
I
God, I wish. Give me a
Wish.
car.
So I didn't know Infinity was part of Nissan, and that led me to know that. So it's like Nissan. Okay, it's the luxury vehicle division of the Japanese automaker Nissan. And the marketing started in the end of 1989. And the Infinity logo is a stylized representation of a road extending into the horizon and of Mount Fuji. So if you look at which I didn't even put that together until it's like, you see something one way and then someone says, oh, it's actually this. And then your brain like shifts it.
Mm-hmm.
And if you turn it on its side, it's Pac-Man.
Yeah. So that's Mount Fuji.
It is Pac-Man.
It is
I know.
Pac-Man, but
I
he's a
wasn't
little
lying.
I
squished.
never believe you. Sorry, I need proof.
I have a lot of random things I could talk about, honestly. And the brand was created around the same time. And I also didn't know this. The rivals Toyota and Honda developed their Lexus and Acura premium brands. So Lexus is the luxury brand of Toyota, I think. Let me check that.
Yeah.
No, I just checked.
Okay. I didn't fucking know. I just thought they were separate brands. So that's really cool. I had no idea. And as the Japanese government invoked voluntary export restraints, it became more effective for automakers to export fewer but more expensive cars to the U.S. market. So that's kind of why they did that, is they were like, let's make more expensive cars because there's a restraint on how much we can export. This symbol of infinity was created in 1655 by mathematician John Wallace. And I was trying to find the history of the infinity tattoo and why that became super popular. Some people think like maybe it was John Green, kind of like the era of Tumblr. I don't know if we really know like why it was such an uptick. Like it was just like white shit and the internet. And I think it was the beginning of when the internet became really viral with Tumblr and Instagram, and people were doing a lot of copying of each other. It was very easy to get inspiration. But I also started to think about, and this is not a fully formed idea, but maybe I'll get there. Have you all seen Oppenheimer? I know.
Yeah.
I have.
Okay. So I'm wondering, because I guess like the world that we live in and like nuclear disaster or like nuclear weapons really feels like it could take our world or our honestly our planet and just decimate it. But I'm sort of wondering, maybe it's a question for Chris because he might know, is like I first was thinking about it. I wonder what you guys think about this idea, is that Oppenheimer was like, yeah, I am the destroyer of worlds. Like he felt very badly about what he was doing, but he also was like, well, someone was going to do it anyway, and I stopped the war. Like there could have been someone who did it, but he stopped the war before it could get worse, or someone else would have created the atomic bomb. I'm wondering what you guys feel about that statement, because to me, I feel like I would be like, holy shit, I did this thing and I feel so responsible, rather than thinking in perspective like, oh, someone would have done it after me anyway, and like it was for a higher purpose, maybe in the 40s, but now it's a very different thing. And also like, it almost feels like nuclear disaster to me now feels really small in comparison to infinity and like the universe. What is the impact of something like that? Like of like maybe another Hiroshima or something like that happening on the rest of the planetary universe? Like, is there any impact at all? Do we know?
Are you asking whether or not our nuclear capabilities endanger other planets?
I mean,
Our
do
own
we
planet?
know, because it is such a like, I guess we don't, we can't, it doesn't.
It so our the largest
This
bomb
may be
that
a
we-
stupid question, but
No, not at all. The largest bomb that was ever, as far as I'm aware,
Tsar Bomba.
that was ever, it was Tsar Bomba, right? It was invented and tested by the Russians, was like so massive that like the shockwave broke windows like thousands of miles away, and the shockwave like went around the earth several times, and it registered on the Richter scale and this and that. And there are lots of videos that go into like, well, here's what it would look like in Los Angeles. Here's what it, whatever, right? At the scale of our own planet, that's nothing. That is nothing. There are earthquakes every single day that produce more energy than some of the largest bombs we've ever created.
Yeah.
There are volcanoes that are like thousands of
I guess I
times
worded it
larger
wrong.
of
Maybe
energy.
like, let's picture a nuclear bomb that has the power. It is much larger than Tsar Bomba. It is not invented, obviously. That has the power to like kill human life on Earth. How far does any sort of impact travel in the atmosphere? And would we even like, would there be any like, do we know of how much that can travel outside of like what it's actually like, where it's actually occurring?
Like, I'm sure that there's some level of a scale where we could do something and it would affect other planets, but I think the problem is that planets, even in our own galaxy, are really far away. Like, for instance, the moon, which is the closest one, you can still fit all of the other planets in between the moon and us. So, like, it would have to be so incredibly massive that the Earth would probably get vaporized before it would do something to like another planet. At least as far as my understanding.
Here's actually, I just thought of a great way to think about this. The maximum output of energy that we could possibly have is what's contained in the Earth, right? It's essentially the Earth itself. I mean, the Earth itself puts off a ton of, electromagnetic radiation, right? And things like that. We are confined to what is directly available to us, and we've already mined so much of it and then enriched whatever, right? The nuclear explosion is like the most powerful thing that we've ever created, right? For a split second, once the bomb goes off, it creates a miniature sun. It's actually hotter than the surface of the sun, at least. It's hot, like it's really hot, but it's only for an instant, and then it's gone. And the materials are used up, and there is some radioactive decay and things like that, but it's over in a second. But then it's that resulting shock wave going around and around and,
the
around,
fallout.
and like that's it, and the fallout and everything. So really, it's just contained to us. Like, there is not much, and this is again an infinity in the cosmos and all that. There's not much we can do to the Earth itself. Like, again, we would have to mine every last little bit of whatever we use, uranium, plutonium, in our weapons, right? Combine them into one super mega bomb, right? And it still probably wouldn't have the same effect as the asteroid that killed the dinosaurs did.
I guess I'm
Because
wondering.
It's just not enough.
Yeah. I'm wondering if like maybe this is just I don't know. I just started to think about this like, and it feels like I'm asking a stupid question, honestly, but I feel like how far into the atmosphere can the like effects of a nuclear weapon travel? Like how high?
So just for fun, I
Pretty
asked
high.
ChatGPT, and it seems like most nuclear bombs would have minimal direct impact on space or anything in space because Earth's atmosphere would contain it. So nothing would even get out of Earth. But then I asked it, what if it was a really big explosion that destroyed Earth itself? And at that point, you have an argument because
Yeah.
the debris would travel, and some of the debris might be, radioactive and stuff like that. And eventually, it may reach someplace and affect stuff like that. But as long as it doesn't destroy the planet itself, we're okay.
Yeah, I guess that was just my thought. I was like, okay, we're at a point right now where the SAR bomb is the biggest we've ever had as a planet. And I just it's like nuclear devastation is so crazy. Like Chris and I were watching Chernobyl. He's watched it like 4 times, and the fact
Great
that
show.
like
Oh wow.
the effects of
Amazing
Chernobyl
show.
is like it's still like you cannot be in Pripyat.
Yeah.
Like there's
Well, you can't be at ground zero.
Yeah.
You can visit the area.
you can't, but there's
the
like certain
exclusion
places you
zone.
literally cannot go to. I'm like, okay, yes, I guess this documentary, yes, in some ways it doesn't make me existential, but in other ways it's like, okay, what is the impact on the greater like universe of something like probably our most powerful weapon that is human made? What is the impact beyond us?
Minimal. I mean, like
It's
this is
wild.
something that I reference all the time, is that we as human beings, we put a lot of stock into what we are and how we do things, and there are people who are conservationists and environmentalists that are like, "Oh, we're killing the planet. We're like, no, like yes, but no. If anything, we're killing ourselves, right? The planet's going to be fine, right? It's going to recover in essence, or it might never be the same, but Earth is going to keep on spinning. It's going to keep on going around the sun. And if we bomb the shit out of ourselves and make it a radioactive wasteland, we're just screwing ourselves over
Yeah.
because it will not be habitable for thousands and thousands of years, but it eventually will be again, theoretically, right? Because the half-life will just continue to like go down, and the radiation will be less and less and less until it's just back to regular background levels. And then life could potentially flourish again. So in the same way with like climate change is, sure, we are affecting it, and it's going to
Chris is not a climate change
make it-
denier. Just gotta
I'm
obviously not.
no, yeah.
But
I'm literally saying that we're changing the
Yeah.
climate. We're changing the climate.
people are really quick to.
But like it will continue to change until we stop, or until we can't because we're dead. And at that point, like it might be irreparably changed, but that doesn't mean, again, in the time scales of the universe, that life couldn't adapt and change, right? You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
there are still single cell organisms that would potentially evolve and evolve and evolve. We might just like reset it. And now there's like a new Earth. It's Earth 2.0, and there's new life, and it has to be able to live under these conditions of certain amount of radiation from the sun or whatever. Like who
Yeah.
knows, right? Again, not a climate scientist, so I don't know. All I know is that we're like our impact in the world and in the scales of the cosmos, it only affects us and the other living creatures, of course, the other living creatures on this earth. But it doesn't affect the earth. It doesn't affect the moon. It doesn't affect the stars. It doesn't affect anything else. Even our biggest bomb was still trapped in our atmosphere.
And our ability to adapt as humans has always been based on technology. So maybe we can come up with like suits that let us live in situations of high radioactivity. But there are creatures like cockroaches and microbes that can literally learn to thrive physically in radioactive regions, where like they will literally be able to like thrive in those situations. I think they found some like fungi that can eat radiation and literally use it as a source
Wow.
of nutrition. So I think life will be fine. And there's a great George Carlin bit about the thing that Chris just said, like the planet will be fine. And I definitely recommend people check that out. But
We
yeah,
will.
I
We
agree with
might
that.
not be fine. Yeah, I guess I don't know. I think my brain is. Chris is definitely more into theoretical physics than I am. As this is a documentary very up his alley, and I think I've like. It's not that I have limited knowledge. I think it's just one of those things. I'm like, I can't even fathom it, but could it even happen? You know?
Just to present the other side, nuclear can be used as a clean energy source, especially with some of the advancements they've made recently, where it could be the thing that gets us to, reverse climate change and get away from the fossil fuels and stuff like that are, increasing carbon in the atmosphere. It's a relatively clean source of energy, and yes, we've screwed it up royally, like in the past with things like Chernobyl, but I think China's investing a ton in nuclear right now because they've like solved the bugs. We'll see whether that pays off, but it sounds like there's a potential positive to what Oppenheimer worked on.
Oh,
and
yeah.
also, to be clear, there's like nuclear reactors and power plants specifically have a pretty impeccable track record. We just remember when they go wrong.
They go
'cause if
really wrong.
If they go wrong in a specific way, it can be very, very bad.
Devastating.
But off the top of my head, I only know of 3 instances. There's the Fukushima meltdown, but that happened because of a literal tsunami and earthquake. There was Chernobyl, and that happened because of negligence and errors in processes and
Boeing
all of
type
that
stuff.
Right, exactly.
Call back.
And then there was one in the United States, but actually everything was fine. There was like a near meltdown
Cool,
or
I didn't
something.
know
Where was it?
But it was contained. Hold on, let me see if I can find
Well,
this
what do you
quickly.
guys think about that idea of like, I guess like personal responsibility. Like
Yeah.
when he says like, oh yeah, but someone would have done it after me. And like I effectively saved more lives of our people. I mean, I'm against everything that happened, but I guess when I watched that movie, I don't know, I feel like if that was me, I feel like I don't know how I would live with myself. But in a way, I think, Chris, I don't know if we talked about it prior to watching or post watching it, but I don't know, the idea that like you could save more people potentially by unleashing nuclear weapons is a crazy thought.
I think
know?
I don't know if I agree with the saving lives by doing it anyway, but I think
Yeah,
I
like
can
I'm not
agree
saying
with-
I agree.
Oh no, definitely.
Yeah, like just
But I think I can agree with somebody would have done it anyway. Like I don't think he was right in that if it wasn't me, it would have been somebody else. It wasn't that he was necessarily the special one; he was just the first one. So I think I can agree with that. I don't know if him doing it made it better. Because I think, of course, people that got hit by those bombs would probably beg to differ that he saved lives. But,
well, I guess his argument was like it stopped the war much earlier than if they didn't use it, and therefore saved. I guess it saves a certain amount of lives or certain kinds of lives, but not Japanese lives in that way. That was kind of the argument.
Yeah.
Like this could have gone on for much longer, and then more people could have died. More Americans could have died.
yeah.
It's just like it's one of those questions that it's like, it's a moral question that I hope none of us ever have to deal with. But when you think about it, it's like, how do you guys think you would react to that?
Yeah, it's a classic trolley problem, right? If you guys are familiar with this thing, let me find an image.
Very, very
Trolley?
famous
Yeah.
Trolley.
But yeah.
My bad.
Oh.
I
That was
forgot
very Canadian.
Yo, man. There's so many words that
I thought you meant
read.
trolley like the gummy worms, like TROLLI.
There's so many words that I just know because I've read them, and I always the pronunciation. Once at a dinner party that I invited a bunch of friends to, instead of saying satin, I said Satan.
Had you just not said the word satin before? That's interesting.
Yeah, exactly. I had read it and I had written it, but I had never said it. Okay, here we go.
Learning words through books. We've all been there.
So there's a train headed for 5 people.
Yeah.
Do you take responsibility to move it over and only kill one person, but then it's your fault, or do you just let it go and kill 5 people, and then you can tell yourself you didn't do it?
Yeah.
These are the questions.
I mean, it literally is that. It literally is that. It's diverting
crazy?
the path of the
That
war.
was tested. That like there was an
No
ethics
way.
board that approved a test that kind of studied this.
Okay,
Okay.
sorry. There's no need
Get
to
into the
test that.
details.
Okay,
We
so-
know what happens.
No, so the question was, people want to say that that like collectivists, it's better for the collectivism to pull the lever, but ethically, you'll probably feel like you are responsible for the death of that person. And that's really hard for people to get by. And so this has been something that psychologists have talked about for a really long time, trying to go for like, what would people actually do? Because we all know what we would want to think we would do, but also why does that feel like it's blood on our hands? Like wouldn't inaction feel like more blood on your hands? It's interesting. It's an interesting thought. But because for obvious reasons, there was no ethics board that could find a reasonably ethic way to test to see what people would do. Until, this is real, YouTuber and very smart man, Vsauce.
Mr.
had a-
Beast. No, I'm kidding. Vsauce!
Oh, Vsauce.
Chris is obsessed with
on
Vsauce.
Minefield.
Yes, on Minefield, his YouTube Red show, he found a way and worked with an ethics board to get it actually tested. It was a very, very small sample size. So it's not super applicable, but it is interesting because it was done. It was instead of it being real people that were about to be killed, it was like a new high-tech, quote-unquote, railway system that just had cameras. And so they were taught how the railway worked by some very like experienced person that was showing screens of where the train was and when you would pull the levers and stuff.
Okay.
And then in the experiment, the training person would leave and go, "Hey, I actually got to go do something really fast. Just keep an eye out." And then a red light or whatever would go off saying, "Hey, you need to pull this lever now." And it would give them plenty of like being like, it's urgent, but they give them time to realize what's happening. And then some people did pull the lever. A lot of people didn't. And it was interesting to see like why people did what they did.
And just to be clear, they were shown visuals of like people on the tracks.
Yes, they didn't.
But
They were
fake.
not shown people dying. It was all an act. Like it was just a video.
Sure,
it was
sure.
fake.
Yeah.
There was no gruesome death. There was nothing like that. They just were told the stakes about what it could be, and they were left to figure out what to do. I highly recommend that episode of Minefield on YouTube.
Chris loves Vsauce. He watches him like
He's
every
amazing.
day.
Fascinating.
Love him.
Super fascinating. And for somebody who learned about that problem in school, seeing it tested is so cool.
Comments are turned off for that video.
Interesting. I wonder if
Getting hate?
people didn't like it.
The fact that
I don't know.
I mean,
did
if
the
you don't have
experiment.
literal people at risk.
Yeah. But the thing is, the ethical problem is not
yeah.
just the people on the track. It's what
Exactly.
you're doing to the people that have to make the
You're
decision.
making them think that they are literally killing people.
Yeah. I mean, it's like Stanford prison experiment.
Exactly.
Like you're literally.
So I'm wondering if maybe
creating
there were some
harm.
confounding factors that made this unusable as far as a study, but it was very interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is interesting.
That's a great parallel.
Yeah, and
It's a great parallel, Mo.
during
Grant
the
for the add-in. For
during
the assist.
no problem. That's what we're here for.
Hell yeah.
Teamwork. During the marketing for Oppenheimer, a lot of people were talking to Christopher Nolan about AI because they thought it was like an interesting parallel. And that's something I'm thinking about on a much smaller scale, of course, because I'm going to go and work at an AI company. And I'm like, I don't know how I feel about that. I think like there's going to be some nights where I'm going to be like, do I like what I'm doing? Is this something I
Yeah.
want to support? Because
Yeah.
like a lot of these companies, well, basically every company, I don't think anyone's like gathering data ethically right now. It's just like Wild
Yeah.
West. Okay, look, public data. Like they're literally stealing videos and information from the web, and they're using it for commercial purposes without getting the proper licenses, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Could it lead to something really useful for humanity down the line? Maybe, but like right now, clearly, like you have to be a maybe the end justifies the means person to be able to work in this field, or just be like fascinated by it and need the paycheck.
Or just don't care. I was going to make a point. I mean, for actors, we've experienced this. There was a whole, obviously, the whole strike was in relation to AI. And a lot of the jobs that I've seen that I was applying to, or even like commercial jobs, they will hide that they're doing AI training. And I've almost fallen into two of them where you would go in and they would monitor like your expressions and stuff. And it's a paycheck. And a lot of people need a paycheck right now because the job market is so terrible. So it's really funny because we're dealing with this rise in the study and usage of AI, and AI is becoming a source of income for people who really, really need it, while the job market is so dismal. And it's like, it's crazy that that's what we're seeing come together.
Yeah.
Yep.
I have a lot of issues with AI, I'll be honest.
Don't we all?
Yeah.
I was gonna say.
I have a lot of issues with it. But I'm interested to see where your experience will be like, Mo.
Yeah.
Me too.
I think like when we were all in the same company together, I feel like there was so much positive messaging around AI, like on LinkedIn or just like company, like just in the tech space and the marketing space, there's so much positive messaging about it. So it's so interesting to have like my own personal holdups and to feel very conflicted, or not conflicted.
Too, right? Like StreamYard had
Yeah.
AI clips, transcriptions, all of this
Yeah.
stuff is using the same models that everybody's using, and these models have not been, built in a way where the people that like the training data has not been gathered in a consensual manner, and nor
Right.
have they been paid. So
Yeah.
yeah.
I mean, I was just going to say, and they're very different, but they're both very current. Is like, it's how I kind of feel about Ozempic. Like, we don't know the effects of Ozempic down the line. And we're trying something, and a lot of people are taking it. There's a lot of issues surrounding it, and people are still doing it. But we have yet to know what the long-term effects will be.
Yep. All right, I'll do a quick tangent and then we can move to the green room. Mine will just be playing a little clip. So, a lot of this documentary reminded me of season 1 of Loki. And I will
Oh, I didn't
play
watch
this
it.
at
Oh,
2x
please do.
speed.
It's so good.
Yeah?
It's one of the best.
I'll just play some of the visuals.
Oh my
and
God, yeah.
You'll see that. I don't know. Well, actually, okay. Loki came out in in 2021, and this documentary came out in 2022. But a lot of the vibes that I got from the TVA, or the Time Variance Authority in Loki, reminded me of some of the stuff, especially like the hotel problem that they talked about, like the art style and the vibe, even the like sound design and the types of music that they'd used in this documentary reminded me of some of the stuff that we saw in Loki. And it's very much like an existential feeling that it brings up for me. But it was done in a way that was really, really good. And I didn't necessarily feel negative toward it. It's just like a specific feeling that I like to feel sometimes, even though it's a little bit uncomfortable.
Yeah. Well, I also think it's vintage. Like, it's vintage animation. So that's what's kind of crazy about it, is like existentialism paired with vintage animation.
Right.
You're
Like
thinking
the
about something
Jetsons.
so in the future. Yeah, and the Jetsons, and it's coming. Yeah. I mean, I
love
like
that
seeing
vibe.
it too. There's something very haunting. Like, I love vintage animation. I love it a lot. Like, I think drawing, I don't know, it's just very cool. But to see, and when it's shown in media, a lot of times it's kind of weaponized for like some sort of, I think there's some sort of like sometimes cult association, or like over insertion of the government or something. Like, there's something not right when you see a lot of like vintage animation, I think.
Yeah.
Maybe
Cool.
that's just a theory I have.
Are we done with tangents? Moving on. Are we gonna have a proper green room for everyone this week?
I've got one.
My green room is like
All right.
super quick.
Go. I never have one. I'm like, I don't know.
So this I said this to Katie, because it's kind of related to the documentary in a certain way, but it just made me think of, like, as I was trying to think of like a tangent, I was like, well, maybe I should talk about things that are timeless and like what makes things timeless, and this made me start going down like certain rabbit holes. So I'm just gonna hit you with some members.
Okay.
And what I mean by that is start here. Remember silly bands?
Yeah.
ever
Oh,
have silly
members.
bands?
Yes, I had silly bands. Do they have them in Canada?
I have no idea what this is.
I don't know what
Silly
this is either.
bands.
What?
Here.
You both don't know what
I've-
silly bands are?
No.
Are
Hold
they
on.
like the squiggly bracelets?
Yeah, and they're in
Yes.
the
Oh, okay.
shape
It's
of like animals
precisely-
and stuff.
Cool.
Okay,
cool.
I didn't know what this was. I just didn't know the name.
Yeah.
Silly bands. Yeah, they were all the rage. Remember Yik Yak?
Yeah.
No.
You didn't have Yik Yak? Yik Yak
that
was
an app?
huge at my
It
college.
wasn't huge.
It was an app
for
where
me,
basically
but
it was huge on
But
my
I know
college.
what it
Everybody
is.
was on Yik Yak. Basically, it's like an anonymous like tweet app.
or
where you
Ask
just, like,
FM was big.
Send out your thoughts. It was like completely anonymous. It was so much fun. And then people started to abuse it, of course, as is the nature
Yeah.
of things.
I think I missed that one.
It's not
Yeah.
really. You didn't miss much.
Remember cup stacking?
Yes.
Remember when cup stacking
Yeah,
was
yeah,
super
yeah, yeah.
huge?
Yeah.
Remember
Or
that?
the cup
Yeah.
song.
Remember cups? Oh yeah.
Did
Oh,
you guys
God.
know
No, I don't, I,
that Robin, who sings "Dancing on My Own" and "Call Your Girlfriend," is Swedish?
No.
I didn't know
No,
she was
I did not know
Swedish,
that.
and I saw her as a judge on one of the past seasons of Drag Race, and I was like, "Oh my God, she's Swedish!" And then you listen to "Call Your Girlfriend," and I'm like, "Oh, I can kind of hear her accent a little bit when I never did before."
remember Neopets?
Yes.
I sure do.
Yeah, I had Neopets.
Remember Club Penguin?
Yeah.
I was never on Club
son
I
of
Penguin.
a
wasn't either,
bitch.
but I had Webkins. I had a lot
sister had
of
Webkins.
Webkins.
Yeah.
I had like
My sister had
60
Webkins.
Webkins.
I didn't.
It was unreasonable.
Remember Heelys?
Yes. Chris,
I had
you talk
Heelys.
about Heelys all the time.
Yeah.
I still have Heelys. I don't have them with me. They're back at my house in Wisconsin. What else? There was another one here that I really
It's just
liked.
the nostalgia corner with Chris.
Yeah, well, I was just like, are these things timeless or are they not?
There's
No, I think they're
excellent
very
TikTok
located
channel.
in where they were. Because I feel like
Remember
Webkins was so
LMFAO?
huge.
I've
and-
talked about LMFAO on
Like
this
the
podcast
band?
before.
Yeah.
I
like
was
the
one of
band,
the
and how
band
they're-
members for Halloween one year. The one with the box.
Secondary green room tangent here, and then I'll
Okay.
end it, is that LMFAO is the definition of an industry plant.
Oh.
Definition, because I started thinking about them again because I went down this rabbit hole. But people will always talk about industry plants, and they're like, "Oh my God, Chapel Roan's an industry plant."
No,
she's
she's
not.
No,
fucking
she's been around a
not.
long
She
time.
worked for 10 years.
LMFAO. So, first and foremost, it's a duo, right? Red Foo and Sky Blue. Red Foo is the youngest son of Motown Records founder Barry Gordy.
Oh,
He's
wow.
a Nepo baby
So he's
and
the
an
son-
industry plant.
And then Sky Blue is Gordy's grandson
Wow.
and the son of Red Foo's half brother, Barry Gordon IV. Okay? So I was looking at their Wikipedia, and they began their career in 2006. And they recorded some demos, and then Red Foo's best friend, will.i.am, introduced them to Interscope Records head, Jimmy Iovine, and it gave the green light for them to be signed. And they just released that as the Party Rock EP in 2008, and then the full album in 2009, charted all over the world. And then,
They make music
they
anymore?
had their next album
No.
I don't
in
think
2011,
so.
which was Sorry for Party Rockin'.
Sorry
And
for
I
party
was like
rocking.
I was going back through their music, and I'm like, this sounds like it was like written on the day and recorded. Like their tone of voice is like so lazy. I'm in
Every
Miami,
time I
bitch.
dive in my pool, it's hard to
Yeah,
be humble
right, it's like-
as I do the breaststroke through an underground tunnel.
And all of their songs are
come up
interchangeable,
on
whatever.
The other side
They
in a
had-
jacuzzi.
They had a Super Bowl halftime show
Which
in
is
2012 at Super Bowl.
they did the
what is
Super
that,
Bowl halftime show. That is so
26? I don't know.
fucking crazy.
With Madonna. with Madonna. And then in September of 2012, they released a statement announcing where they're going on an indefinite hiatus. And Redfoo said, I feel like we've been doing this for so long, 4 or 5 years. That right there, I was like, and Chappell Roan's been doing this for 10 years, and she's finally getting something. They literally just were like, hey, we recorded a demo, and will.i.am was like, let's put it out there. LMFAO.
Fuck. LMFAO.
All right.
So-
You want to go next?
Yeah. So I don't know if you guys have heard. That's going to date this episode, but Mr. Beast is in some hot water.
Okay, I've seen the
lots
headlines.
of
I don't
hot
know what
water.
happened.
To
So-
locate us right now, the potential VP for Kamala her VP pick has just been picked a few days
It's Mr.
ago.
Beast.
It's Mr. Beast.
Mr.
It's
Beast.
not Mr. Beast. It is a lovely.
Kamala Beast.
No, that
Harris Beast.
terrifying
Anyway.
ticket. It is August 7th of 2024. So
Mr. Beast, renowned YouTuber, now highest subscribed YouTuber, I believe, has had a number of controversies in the last couple weeks. 3
A
to be
lot.
precise. 3 big controversies. First of which, I don't really want to get into the specifics, but essentially a worker at Mr. Beast was caught soliciting nudes from a minor or something like that.
Or just like being very inappropriate.
Yes,
with a minor.
and wanting illicit art from an artist that is known to base art off of children. So things are pretty yikes around there.
Ew.
Acting very inappropriately with children. So there's that. Which, I mean, like, we're all like, that sucks, but clearly it's not Mr. Beast. It's like, this person. I mean,
Sure.
Somebody
yeah.
that he works with.
However, it continues. It was recently come out that the Mr. Beast games, it's being shot right now. It's basically like Amazon signed a deal with Mr. Beast to make this new game show. That's like 1,000 people to fight for $5 million, which is the highest cash
I literally
price that's ever
saw
been.
them as on casting stuff.
yeah.
I saw the casting post for it.
That is the biggest cash prize in any game show ever created. And they're undergoing production right now. And recently, Rosanna Pansino, I don't know if you guys know who that is, but recently she's had her qualms with Mr. Beast in the past. But
Is she a YouTuber creator?
yeah, she's a YouTuber.
Okay.
She did like gaming related baking and stuff like that, but she's been in like 3 different Mr. Beast videos. And this particular thing is interesting because it is apparently not, the Amazon show is not currently in production. It is a YouTube video preceding the production of the TV show. So instead of 1,000 people, there is 2,000 people in this YouTube video that are competing. And there have been allegations of lots of stuff. One of which is pitting elderly and petite women against athletic young men, where there are young men who are athletic who are teaming up against these people and tackling women, and some of them have said that they've been knocked out. Food has been inconsistent. It's a low amount of calories, and they only eat once per 12 hours, and is inconsistent when food happens. These are allegations, of course. Women are being denied feminine care products. A woman cited that she had to stay with a used tampon for 12 hours.
That is so bad.
It's really bad.
I mean, this all is bad, but
Yes.
that is additionally bad.
Yes. People have been denied their medication, so there have been at least 2 seizures. Yeah, it's not good. On top of the fact of it being kind of rigged, like, it's not totally fair. So like there there are teams that are ganging up on people, obviously, that are more vulnerable. One person's alleged that because they were never sure when food was going to come again, people were hoarding Feastables chocolate because you would win those from games. So groups would be hoarding chocolate just in case, because you just never know.
Wow.
So things have gone crazy over there, and Mr. Beast has yet to say anything about this. The only thing that he has done is continue to delete comments off of YouTube videos. Like you could, like a couple days ago, you could watch comments being deleted. It's scary. And then the cherry on top of all of this is the third controversy of a former Mr. Beast employee, so he says. Dogpack, he made a video recently talking about Mr. Beast being a fraud. He talked about how the biggest allegation is how they perform illegal lotteries frequently, so lotteries are like there's very specific criteria about how to do a legal lottery, and like sweepstakes, giveaways, and lotteries are all specific names specifically so as to which they're not illegal. So a giveaway, you are not like, there's like three qualifiers, I guess. And for a giveaway to happen, it can't meet all three. It has to meet, like, it becomes an illegal lottery if it then becomes all three categories. I can't remember exactly what they are, but essentially.
Is it for tax purposes or just?
Tax purposes, but it's also, I think it's, as far as I'm aware, lotteries have been heavily regulated over the years to avoid, like, exploitation. So Mr. Beast has run several giveaways through merch drops where he has said, we're giving away money or items with a purchase of your Mr. Beast item. But there is no way of being able to guess when the next giveaway is going to happen because they're inconsistent. They're constantly inconsistent. What the item is inconsistent. How much you buy is inconsistent. Their messaging was, we're giving away something with every order, which is factually incorrect. There was somebody who was caught on camera forging's the wrong word, but faking the signature of Mr. Beast on signed merchandise. Things are not looking good. And that's just the tip of the iceberg when it comes to that video. He's going to do 3 parts. He's only done 1, and it's fascinating. Because it seems like they are doing some really shady stuff, and it becomes a problem because they know that their audience is children. Like, they know, they have the analytics that these are minors. These are children. Yep. And when it comes with children, that's even more like regulation that needs to happen because they are it's a protected group of people. So yeah, he's in a little bit of hot water right now. Of course, these are all allegations. We don't know if this is true, but he's kind of getting it from all sides right now.
Yeah. I have a question for you. So you said, I just want clarity on something. You said that supposedly he was in production for these games, but then you said, no, actually it's a YouTube video with 2,000 people. Can you just clarify what you mean? Like, yes. He's not actually in production. They're filming a YouTube video?
Yes. So this is the part of the part is all the people that got the audition and are in it were not told that this was not the show. They were told this is the show. But instead, it's 2,000 people. The YouTube video is to narrow down to 1,000 people for the TV show. But this was never communicated to the people on the YouTube video.
I'll share my screen. Okay, so what you have here is an article by The Verge that talks about
clean underwear.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
This makes me sick.
Some of the highlights, it's what Grant said. Food was an issue. And then someone from Mr. Beast's team actually replied to them saying that the shoot, like, this was their excuse, which is a terrible excuse. It was complicated by the CrowdStrike incident. Are you guys familiar with this thing?
No.
Basically, like, some antivirus made a bunch of Windows computers go down.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, my work computer with my previous employer had CrowdStrike on it and almost certainly would have been bricked. By this thing.
That is an external factor that they they just blame the whole thing on this. Like, I don't know that that's a strong excuse.
Not giving people food because of CrowdStrike.
It's not an excuse at all. Are you kidding me?
But yeah, to the thing that you guys were just talking about. So the 1,000 contestants who make it through the YouTube video can return for the Amazon show that Grant was talking about. But this segment is for Donaldson's YouTube channel.
Yeah,
So,
and this also, I don't know if this article talks about, but they specifically tried to hire non-union workers.
Oh, I did
and
not.
because
Yeah.
they weren't able to find enough production staff that were non-union, they ended up trying to get union workers but not paying them enough. They ended up undercutting them, and so the union spoke out saying, "Do not work for this production, and if you do, you will not be part of the union anymore."
Wow.
So
I had another question for you, Grant. That I forgot. When you said something about that artist and like someone getting art, like potentially like, I was confused what you were saying. So it was someone who was looking at CSAM, which is child sex abuse material, and then wanting art. Is it that artist is already creating art that is like that, or they just create art of children, point blank?
this part I'm not as certain about, but as far as I'm aware, he just creates illicit art of children. Because I know this particular artist got in hot water for making an illicit thing about Dr. Disrespect's 8-year-old daughter.
So is it exclusively like illicit content is what I'm asking, or is
Yes,
it just
it is NSFW. It's not just like drawings of kids.
How the
It is
is he like continuing to be able to do this?
because technically
Not
it's
that
just drawn.
Not that like changes anything at all, but like, I mean, I feel like that should be considered CSAM, but I don't know the exact ramifications.
I think it
of
should
what is
too, but I
considered CSAM.
honestly am not sure.
Yeah. Yeah. But not that changes anything. I was just wondering if it was like whoever this person was trying to get this person to make illicit materials, or like this person was already producing that.
Yeah, I'm
sort
not
of
sure.
thing.
He has they have an association with this artist, but I'm not certain on what capacity.
Okay.
Disgusting.
And so you're saying a person that works for Mr. Beast not only was requesting this sort of material from that artist, but also was talking to a minor, right?
Yes, as far as I'm aware. The biggest thing was, I believe, this person offered illicit material of themselves to a minor as well. It was pretty I don't know if it technically counted as a legal behavior, but it was very close.
I think that is illegal.
Yeah, I'm not
behavior.
sure. I didn't hear anything about police investigation, but it's still, regardless, gross.
So, from what I've been able to find, it's just Mr. Beast YouTube co-host Ava Chris Tyson is quitting the popular channel after allegations surfaced of grooming a minor. Tyson was recently accused of sending inappropriate messages to a then 13-year-old when she was 20 years old. I would like to apologize for any of my past behavior, all the apologies.
Wait, so the groomer that was working for Mr. Beast, the person we've been discussing, it's Ava?
Yes.
It's,
Oh,
yes,
okay.
Ava Chris Tyson.
Career
And-
over.
One of the interesting things that Dogpack, the previous employee that's been exposing Mr. Beast, alleges that everyone knew for a long time, which is yikes.
Doesn't surprise me.
Yeah.
See, this is the thing. It's like if you find yourself in these scenarios and like associating with these people, it's like, how long can you know somebody? And no, I might be, speaking out of my ass because I don't know, but as far as I'm aware, none of my friends that I know and regularly associate with have done something like, you know what I mean? Like, I feel like the moment that I've started to get like a bad vibe from somebody, I've really distanced myself from them. And I can't think of anybody that I know personally. It's just like, somebody for so long, you work with them for so long.
It's
I don't know.
definitely like
Birds of a feather,
abuse of
they stay
power.
together.
It's abuse of
yeah.
power. I mean, it's like when you have a job and you need to keep that job and you're worried about it's horrible.
Yeah, unfortunately, it gets really
people feel like
complicated.
they have to stay. Yeah.
And that's lame.
I'm not saying it's good or bad, but
Yeah,
I'm not saying
no,
anybody's decisions are good or bad or like we can judge them, but
Yeah.
it's really scary.
Yeah, Dogpack even says, people will say like, well, if you knew, why didn't you say something? And him specifically, he said, like, it's not like I knew, I just knew the rumors. So it's not like I could go, hey, I heard that this person maybe potentially might have
Right.
possibly. It's like, who am I supposed to talk to? Because I don't even know. But
Yeah.
he's
And Mr. Beast definitely doesn't have HR.
right. So I think as far as I think he is alleging though that the higher ups like Jimmy himself and like the people that were surrounding themselves with Ava did know. So I think it's interesting to watch this all happen because there have been he's been a controversial figure for a while. Like a lot of people are like talking about like his philanthropy, like he does really great things. Like there was Team Trees, which was really cool that the community came together for. But then a lot of people were like, yeah, but okay, yes, it's great that this stuff is happening, but is he doing it just for image? Like, is he exploiting people or is he actually trying to help people?
100%.
Yeah. And so my thought watching all of this is from the get-go, I have never really enjoyed Mr. Beast content. I have always had a gut feeling that I just didn't like it. I was like, I couldn't put my finger on it. I couldn't figure out because I'd heard like a lot of people had the same arguments that I was having, and there's a lot of people defending him, going like, well, does it matter what his intentions are? I was like, I guess that's fair. Good things are still good things regardless of what their intentions are. But at the same time, I was like, I don't know. Putting blind kids and saying I'm healing blind kids in the thumbnail and asking for really big reactions feels kind of gross.
Yeah. The clickbait is horrible.
Right.
For one.
So I was like, I don't really have any evidence. I don't really have any reason, like good, solid reason to like say, man, I really don't like this guy. It was mostly just like, I don't like this content. I'm just going to whatever.
Yeah.
We're
not really the target audience either.
No. So I'm not going to be the kind of guy that's going to be like, you shouldn't watch that. But I'm also not going to be the kind of person to go, yeah, I'm super into that. But it's been interesting watching this, having had a bad feeling about this channel for so long and seeing something finally come out and go, oh shit, I was kind of right. That's weird. So it's fascinating to watch happen.
I saw a tweet from him that I think, I don't know, it's interesting to see his perspective on this, because I think to some extent he's aware of what you're saying and he's kind of like on our side in terms of like, yeah, he shouldn't be the one curing this blindness and funding it through content. But like, it seems like he agrees that we should live in a world where the government should have the money and to just like go and help. Like, I'll just read this tweet for audio people. I don't understand why curable blindness is a thing. Why don't governments step in and help? Even if you're thinking purely from a financial standpoint, it's hard to see how there's no return on investment on taxes from people being able to work again. I think that's an interesting thought.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, Chris,
Mr. Beast can be right and he can say these things. And this is where, it's like actions speak louder than words. I have always felt that his content is fundamentally exploitative. And if it's not rooted in exploiting somebody else's directly inside of the video, it's exploitative of like humanity in general. It's very like, I view him as like the problem in many ways. Like the problem with our attention spans, the problem with our empathy, the problem with, you know what I mean? Like this is a guy who has millions and millions and millions of dollars, and he can't just put the money where he can't put the money where his mouth is. Is that the right phrase?
Yeah.
Oh my God. The money where his mouth is. And just like produce a safe show that isn't exploiting somebody or something for the purpose of further gain.
Yeah.
Right? It's like there are tons of people who are millionaires who donate money and are anonymous. I will point out that the Overture Center in Madison, Wisconsin was paid for almost exclusively by an anonymous donor of like $300 million. There's like a lot of money. It was a lot of money, more money than the National Endowment for the Arts.
There's also just like, you don't need to be anonymous, but Ruth Gottsman, a long time, just cut me out a bit. But anyway, Dr. Ruth Gottsman made national news last week for the generosity and because of her life story. When her husband died, he basically was like, he had a ton of money. He was like, donate this $1 billion to wherever you want. It was in stocks or something. And she donated it to a medical school in the Bronx. So to Albert Einstein. So nobody has to pay to go there ever again.
Interesting.
And it's things like that where like there's no kickback. There's nothing that you gain from doing that. And that is not the intention of Mr. Beast. Time and time again. It's so that he can talk about it. And so that's, I think it's totally for bad. I mean, like again, this is me saying what his intentions are. And I know that that's, but like this is an exact scenario in which actions time and time again speak louder than anything that he's ever said. In his videos, there's always somebody like getting hurt and they're like laughing at it. Or like this exact scenario of like, they're not regulating this. They're just like letting these people team up on other people. And I can already hear in my head the Mr. Beast commenters. It's like, oh, well, they shouldn't have joined then. This is just based. Like, this is just this. This is like he directly feeds into this pipeline of like not being able to think about yourself in your surroundings. It's a lack of like self-awareness, and it's like there's no empathy, and it's awful.
Yeah.
So,
Not to play devil's advocate, but Chris and I have had this conversation before about him. I think I totally see that he's exploiting people, but I do sort of see how he was like, I'm not saying I condone any of his current actions or things that have gone on in the past that we didn't know about that are now coming to light, but he is one of these people that are giving away exorbitant amounts of money and it's sort of like, I mean, he is giving it to people who need it in a lot of cases, and a lot of the people in our governments are billionaires. All these people are not doing that. So part of me is like, okay, it doesn't really matter if he is getting the amount of attention he is for it. And my other argument would be, and it's not that I necessarily agree with, again, anything he's doing, but is it not that his content makes so much money that he is able to continue doing this? So the sort of clickbait that he generates and the content that he makes and how they do everything is able to continue what he does. I don't think he's a good person, but I do think that like in a lot of cases he does some better things than a lot of people we could be looking towards. Yes, Grant.
I just wanted to say I think you're right. I don't think there is one right. I think both things can exist at the same time. So I think he can be exploitative and also do good at the same time. So like he is actually helping a lot of people. It's just the way that he's doing it feels really gross. So like for me, what would feel better is if he were to, if his philanthropy channel was less about clickbait and it was about like, let's not just help a ton of people that need this cure. Let's also give you information about how you can move forward. Like, let's inform these people. We can still entertain, but it's about these people and what they need and less about getting a reaction out of them, if that makes sense. Because it feels like you're kicking downwards at that point. And like a lot of people have used the argument of like, well, these people signed on to be on this. It's like, that's true, but it doesn't make it feel any better. So,
also,
especially when
people are vulnerable. Like I saw
and desperate.
Yeah, I mean, I saw that casting posting, and there was a part of me that was like, "You would never do this, but what if you did it? And like, what if you won? You know, like
I'm really glad you didn't."
yeah. I'm glad I'm able to feed myself during the day, and I think it's crazy when you have that much access. You have the money you have, and you have the scale of team, and you aren't able to do this, and then you blame it on whatever it's called,
antivirus thing,
CrowdStrike.
Yeah, it's crazy to me how close he is to being perceived as a overall positive figure. Like I think in terms of PR, he'll probably recover from the fact that one of his employees is doing the stuff with the minors, and the giveaway not being, a correct giveaway, like based on the laws. I know like it seems like he's breaking the law, but it still feels like he might recover from that. But I think long term, if he continues to have skin conditions for all the people in his videos, I think that's the biggest one. And the crazy thing is he can just fix that. He literally has he spends a of his money on his videos for sure. but he definitely has at least some margin of profit that he can use to invest in showing those people an amazing time and having them be like, supporters of him. By, they'll tell everyone like, hey, I had a great time. Like, he's an awesome person. I had a nice place to sleep. I had great food. There were breaks. Like that stuff, I don't think it's going to cost him more than 2% additional cost over whatever he's spending now. He's so close to providing a great experience for his for the people that are in his videos. It's not a big deal.
If he was able to make that like grocery store video, and like, do you guys remember that? It was like, I forget exactly what it was, but
survive in a grocery store. You get you buy whatever, like you earn $1,000 a day,
$10,000 a day. It was something crazy. Like if you're able to do that, and it's like your own grocery store, like it was like a grocery store they bought, and you can't feed people on this reality show, like
that's a great.
I literally am like, he's the person.
He's
literally, it's the person with the most access being like, I don't know what a computer's bugged. It's like, just because you can't fill out a spreadsheet to see who got fed and who didn't doesn't mean you can't provide food. Yeah, it doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense. Like,
no, I highly recommend watching that dog pack video. We can leave it in the description, and I'll send it to you guys after the show. But it's fascinating to see this all happening, and I think like this is why like content surrounding children and it being marketed to kids is highly regulated. It's because it is dangerous. And even in this case where the video isn't even about children is dangerous. So
I have something very related to this. I'll quickly mention it, but do you guys know iShowSpeed? He's a big Twitch streamer, and he got kicked off of YouTube recently for about a week because on a live stream he jumped over cars.
Oh, so that was real?
Yeah, that was completely real. And he's done it in the past, but I think those were whatever. I don't know. I guess Twitch turned a blind eye to it because, I don't know. I guess Amazon has a lower bar for ethics. But yeah, he did it again recently on YouTube, and they kicked him off the platform because he was setting a bad example for children. Because even if you can do that and that's cool, your viewers, if your audience is children, they're gonna want to be like you. That's a wild thing to do on stream.
I wonder if he would have gotten around that if he said, "Don't attempt this at home," which is how people usually get around
He did say that. And to be clear, like this was
not that it does anything, but legally.
Yeah, sure. Oh yeah, I'm sure maybe legally he'll be fine, but like the platform has its own rules in terms of like whatever YouTube wants to do. Yeah. And this was a moving car coming at him
at
fairly quickly. Yeah. Yep. And he jumped over that. That's
so
first of all,
crazy.
the athletic ability is insane. That's so cool that he's able to do that.
But
also,
yeah, we post a W where a W is owed, but like, oh my god,
maybe not a
to
rightful
children.
W.
No, don't. This is the biggest thing for me is just like so much of YouTube is at the expense of children. You know what I mean? Like it really is like the majority of people who watch YouTube are children, and that means there's like subcultures upon subcultures upon subcultures and parasocial relationships that are happening. And it's just like there needs to be like, I mean, I truly believe that we've had this conversation before, that it's kind of on the parents to like really take care of your children and know what they're watching on YouTube. There's only so much you can do, but like, oh my God.
Children are a powerful market. Like think about Mr. Beast, for example. Like they go crazy over his videos and they want the chocolate, and there's so many different things. Like
the biggest games in the world, Fortnite and Minecraft, children.
Man,
yep.
I want to do a documentary on like charities and nonprofits, and I also want us to do one on like parenting, because we have so much to talk about.
That'd be super interesting.
Oh yeah, totally.
Yeah.
This
is the shit. Wrong one. One sec.
Mo.
This is the position that a lot of us spend our time in when we're on the computer, whether we're playing video games or working.
That is so
and
funny.
What I discovered, I forget which TikTok I saw this on, but this is a really useful position to reverse some of the effects of sitting down because all the angles are in the opposite. So the neck position, the hip position, the knees, if you spend more time in this position, which I started doing maybe 2 months ago, I'll literally like, if I want to like take a break from the computer, I'll scroll TikTok like this on my bed. And at first I couldn't hold it for like more than 30 seconds because it was like a brand new experience to me. But over time it's gotten better, and I feel better when I'm sitting in my chair for long periods of time because I'm doing the opposite action to counteract it. And to show some of the benefits of this, we have
Tummy
this
time.
diagram.
Tummy time.
Tummy time. So we don't, as adults, have to worry about, you know, developing our depth perception or visual motor development and stuff like that. That's more of the child stuff, and we don't have to worry about flat head syndrome. But a lot of the other stuff, like strengthening neck muscles, back strength, legs, hips, stretching these things, these are all benefits that adults can benefit from too. So that is my tip of the day for the green room.
That's sick.
So for our audio listeners,
Get fucked.
if you're sitting in your chair, as you would, get fucked, and start watching video. If you're sitting in your chair long hours a day, you should go lie on your stomach on the couch or on the floor, on your bed or whatever, and prop yourself up on your elbows.
And kick those little
Look
tootsies.
at your phone for a while because it's, and like kick your little feet around because it's the opposite position.
Of you
And
sitting
it should
down.
counteract or help you counteract the thing that you've been doing. You're sitting down. We're looking at a lovely image of a very cute little baby having tummy time, where it's learning to like support itself on its stomach and lift its head up, which is also what we should be doing, so that we don't all get those like weird neck bumps.
Yeah.
Boom.
What you doing?
Oh.
Oh, meow meow.
And that's a
Let
wrap.
us know your thoughts in the comments.
And leave us a thumbs up if you like this episode.
Before we say goodbye, check out the description to know what we're watching next. Thanks for hanging out.
Bye.
Say bye-bye, Wednesday.
Bye.
Say
Bye
bye-bye.
meow.
Bye.
He said bye.
We are taking a 3-week break after this. See y'all in September.
Oh my god, crazy. Should we end the recording now?
Yeah.
I'm ending it.